What's going on, everybody, and welcome to episode 272 of the Keep Moving Forward podcast with me, your host, Anthony DiDomenico, coming to you each week. The podcast is available at anchor.fm/KMF podcasts. As always, the podcast is available on Spotify, iTunes, wherever you get your podcasts. You can find us there. I say us, it's me, but us in the sense that we're a community. And that's where we are. So go check it out. Leave a 5-star rate and review. I have past bonus episodes available at patreon.com/KMF podcast. As always, the podcast is brought to you by Buddha Bars. Buddha Bars is brought to you by Zen Food Brands, zenfoodbrands.com. These are absolutely amazing. 100 calories, 2 grams of fat, and here's the biggest: real ice cream. That's the biggest fact. They are real ice cream. A lot of these so-called low-calorie, low-fat, they call themselves ice cream. They can't do that because it's not real ice cream. Buddha Bars is real ice cream. Follow them on Instagram, Buddha Bars_ice cream. They are exploding all over stores in the New York Metro, New Jersey area. Go to zenfoodbrands.com and find out where they are in your area. If they're not in your local store, demand they bring them in. This is going to be the treat of the summer and the rest of the year. Imagine having 100-calorie, 2 grams of fat and real ice cream. It feels like you're on a cheat day, but you're not. Because you're not going over your points and you're not going over your macros and all the other things you're doing and the ketos and the what else. Real ice cream. Buddha Bars_ice cream on Instagram, and find them zenfoodbrands.com. Go check them out. Absolutely delicious. My good friend John Ziegler, his comedy special is available on YouTube called John Ziegler Getting My Affairs in Order. Go check it out. Give him a follow on Instagram over at John Ziegler Comedy. This week, I was very lucky to be joined by Sam from the Northwest Wind YouTube channel. I don't know if you guys are into camping videos like I'm into camping videos, but you watch Sam's videos, you will be hooked. He's absolutely hilarious. Good dude. Mental health advocate. We chatted up about everything in this podcast, from the Sopranos, sports, men's health, mental health overall, and the whole damn thing. We had a really great conversation. This one went long. So this, if you're listening at home on your podcast listening devices, this one will last you for a while. It's a really good conversation. I hope you check it out. All right, guys. Here's the podcast. I'll talk to you later. I am joined by Sam from the Northwest Wind YouTube channel. He's also on Instagram under the same name. Sam, how you doing?
Doing well. I appreciate you having me here.
I appreciate you coming on. You got back to me right away too, which is awesome. Thank you. That's nice when people do that.
So I will say, as a content creator and musician, and I've been doing this. I've been a musician my whole life. I've been making videos since before YouTube, which is actually 20 years. I think this year or next year is like 05, 06 of YouTube. So, but yeah, I've been doing this a long, long time. And one thing I've always enjoyed and felt it was a priority that a lot of people should make, but they don't. Obviously, if you're like Dave Grohl or, Derek Jeter, I'm just because Yankees, it's hard to get back to everybody. But as much as you possibly can, you got to keep in touch with your people, the people that support you, because, they're taking time out of their day to listen to your song or watch your video or leave a comment or call you an idiot or many other things. And, they want to be acknowledged.
Well, yeah, I mean, I came across your videos, which I enjoy a lot. I'm an Outdoor Boys fan. I came across Luke like everybody else. I found him on TikTok and then I found him on YouTube. And like these other like pages started showing up in my algorithm. You were one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And you stood out because I thought you were funny, number one.
Appreciate it.
Just, it was entertaining. It was different than the other people. And I liked how many times that you failed at stealth camping. Like that to me I thought was great because it's showing like the realness of it.
I appreciate the compliments. I think you're really funny too. I guess you have to, because it's your thing, right? I guess there's probably there's a lot of comics out there that aren't funny, but sorry, I'm wrestling. My dog's wrestling with me. I lost my train of thought. What was I going to say? Was about outdoor boys.
Well, the stealth camping's when you show the realness, like when they don't go the way you'd want them to go, almost like
Right. So as far as the stealth camping goes, I just try to, a lot of people will like plan out videos and be like, all right, I'm going to go camp behind this McDonald's next Thursday. So they'll like spend all their time scouting it out and pick the spot and get all their gear ready and like know exactly what day they're going to go. I would be the guy that would be like, same thing. I want to camp behind McDonald's, but I'm going to put together a bag of what I think I need. Show up on the scene and then just kind of wing it, find the best place to camp, and kind of just go with the flow. I feel like it comes off more like reality style. Like, I could show up and there's been a few times that I didn't last 10 minutes because of circumstances. Like if you go watch a couple of recent ones, they're building this new neighborhood and I tried to look the construction, go watch it. I won't spoil anything, but yeah, I mean, within 10 minutes, the plot got foiled and I count them as fails. A few times I've abandoned ship. People like to point that out a lot in different shapes and forms and phrases of my unstealthiness. I call myself the least stealthy stealth camper, but I finally, sometimes comments get under my skin only if I'm having a bad day, they do. Other than that, I like to just be like, I'll be like, you seem like a really good daddy, or like kind of bust their chops back in a fun way. So I counted as of videos that I have uploaded. I have some stealths that people haven't seen that I haven't uploaded yet, but I'm 45 stealth camps deep and I've failed or abandoned 13 times. I actually just did the math like last week. So it comes out to like, I think like 71 or 72% success rate. So for as bad as I might seem, I failed or abandoned 13 times, but I'm still, batting 700.
You know what it is? Because I think maybe the ones that, of course, don't go according to plan end up being the funniest ones because, of course, like, things aren't going right. I like the one where you tried to sleep overnight in a Walmart and you're just hiding out in the bathroom. That to me, I thought was hilarious.
So that I appreciate that. Yeah, that was a very recent one too. Hang on 1 second. Zero, you're killing me. Please stop. Get. He's a good boy, but he's a black lab and he's still a puppy, so he's killing me. But stop. I apologize. Actually, okay. I don't. He's a dog.
Yeah, he's a dog.
I went in there and it was the same thing. Like, I know I want to camp in there. I had a few places like the garden center sounded good. The toilet paper behind all that. I wanted to make like a little fort, but there were literally no opportunities to get behind you get to see blah, blah, blah. If you watch the video, you saw it. There was no good opportunity to like sneak in and hunker down anywhere. So the bathroom was like, it was either I leave and come back and try and like, based on what I've seen already, go back and try and camp in the toilet paper a little earlier than when they start stocking, or go in the garden center before they shut it off for the night. So true to what I just said 10 seconds ago, I free-formed it and I'm like, I guess my only option is the bathroom. Yeah. And of course, that really nice guy just starting his night shift, whatever, busted me, I guess. But that's another one. It's like, yeah, I just basically walked inside and outside Walmart for 45 minutes, was in the bathroom for like 15, 20 minutes. And it's, some people would say it's not even a stealth. It's an attempt, I guess. I don't know.
It's absolutely an attempt. Listen, if they never came to check the bathroom, you would have, you're sleeping in the bathroom.
That dawned on me when I was in there too. That was the harsh reality, was that I don't think I'd be allowed to walk in a Walmart with a stuffed book bag full of stuff. Or walking through the store with that would, they'd probably, even if I was actually just running in to get a Red Bull or something, they'd probably be like, that's frowned upon. So I virtually had like no gear with me besides my tripod in my pocket. And as soon as I was in there, before all the events happened, I'm like, I'm literally just going to be sitting in the corner all night scrolling on my phone because there's no way in hell I'm going to be able to sleep. I didn't have a mattress or an air mattress or a sleeping pad or a sleeping bag or pillows or nothing. So yeah, that's it's on my. I have a list of things that I failed or walked away from, and I haven't attempted any redemptions yet. But I think I'm going to start knocking redemptions off at some point here soon.
That'd be fun, going back and conquering the, the ones that didn't go the way you want. I mean, I watch, the stealth camping stuff is fun. I mean, Steve Wallace came across the algorithm too. That's exact, kind of how I found everybody else as well.
So he's like he's the Derek Jeter of our niche.
He's the Derek Jeter of stealth camping, and the places he's camped is, you know, it sounds fun, but there's too much for me sleeping on the ground, like with bugs and stuff like that. Like I would need I need a capsule around me or something.
Yeah, I mean, I do plenty of. So the channel actually started as an outdoor fishing channel. I started it back in this particular channel in 2016. It was called Puff Puff Bass Fishing. All the videos are still on the channel. I just rebranded, but yeah, you got it. So, so I mean, I'm all too. I mean, I'm going camping this weekend. I was camping last weekend. I do plenty of regular camps too. So you know, just I can tell you my whole life story of how I got into the outdoors and whatnot, but I don't think it's super relevant right now. But I mean, I've being in the bugs, the dirt, the grime, not showering for 3 days, wiping my, you know what, with moss, like that kind of stuff. Like they kind of, so sleeping at McDonald's or in the Walmart bathroom from 9 p.m. till 7 a.m. You know, I'm kind of indifferent to it. Yeah.
I get it. Yeah. I mean, the camping, I like the camping videos too. I think you have an excellent knack for, you know, being outdoors and know, you know, getting your way around and stuff like that. I watched one last night. It was like 2 days. I think you were in Canada or something. You were by a river. It came up on my algorithm. So I was like, oh, he's on the podcast. I'll check this out. And yeah, it's like it's funny because like it's two sides. You almost like, you know, the funny side and then like the serious, like I had to do this to survive. So like, you know, we'll put that on hold for a second, then we'll come back to it. But you know, you definitely know your way around campsite, which is awesome. And I think that the mix of the both, that's what really I think brings people to the channel.
No, I appreciate it. I guess like I said with comments and stuff, 99 out of 100 comments are positive, and 97.9% of the time the comments don't get to me.
Yeah.
But when it does get to me, I get like imposter syndrome, like I'm just an idiot, and like I feel like I should be less of myself and be more serious and more like locked in, because a lot of people because I want people to know when I go fish, when I go camp, when I'm out there on a canoe trip, when I'm building a fire, when I'm, you know, looking for a place to sleep or scouting my next fishing hole, whatever, like not when I'm just kind of being an idiot on camera. Like I know what I'm doing out there. Like I've been doing it, you know, they say 10,000 hours to become an expert or whatever at something. Like I've put in the 10,000 plus hours, but it's just my personality. I think my whole life, I've just been that high energy kind of, you know, I've toned it down a lot, but I've always been that guy where I think I could, you know, live in the woods for 100 days eating plants and gerbils and stuff, and, you know, still do my dance moves and make noises. And even though I did it for 100 days with no electricity or internet or, you know, whatever, they would still be like, this guy's an idiot out here in the woods, you know, even though I built a log cabin with my hands, which I probably couldn't. You know what I'm trying to say? It's like my antics will always outshine my skills, I guess, is probably the best way to put it.
Well, listen, I mean, you gotta, like you say, you're out there by yourself. Sometimes you gotta entertain yourself. You gotta make the time go by, and why not show that? I think listen, you gotta stand out too. So I think that's what also makes you stand out. But with the whole, like, you know, from like I started camping at this, but like, what made you want to, you know, make a channel and kind of show like the camping stuff, the self camping, and get into that genre? Like, what was the main motivation for that?
It's a couple answers. In short, I have been a fish. So the short version of the long story is when I was 12, my uncle, who's like a father figure to me in a lot of ways, he went to this canoe trip camp up in way northern, like Toronto, but imagine 6 hours, 7 hours north of that, like middle of nowhere. Okay. You go on canoe trips, like from point A to point B, you know, portaging between lakes and rivers and campsites and running rapids and chopping trees for fire and making all you don't see people, you're canoe tripping. Wow. So I did that for 4 years. It's 7 weeks straight, 4 years in a row, 12 to 16 I went. And, you know, that's where I learned to fish. That's where I learned to be comfortable outside, blah, blah, blah. You know, like I hadn't even hit puberty yet, and I'm out there, you know, in the woods for 7 weeks, not seeing other people. It's like you learn how to be tough pretty quick. Even though people people will be like, this guy can't survive a night with the whatever. It's like, I don't need to prove it to myself. I know I can.
Yeah,
I just
done it.
yeah. And it's not being cocky. It's the truth. It is
Yeah.
what it is. But so yeah, like I said, learn to fish, learn to camp, everything I do now, I learned then and have just taken with me to now. I'll be 35 in a few months. So, I was always fishing, always outside, always doing this and that. And then, 2016, and I've always been making movies and, doing like music and all that stuff, in conjunction with all that. That's just always who I was. So 2015, 16, my buddies and I were all, younger at the time and always chilling and enjoying ourselves and going out and doing whatever. And when we'd end up back, my place was like the hangout. We'd always be watching fishing videos and outdoor videos. And I'm like, I want to do that because I'm already out there doing it. So why not just do that and film it and try and make something of it? So, it kind of bled into now. The fishing channel took off pretty quickly in the first like year and a half. And then, my life was up and down a lot and I kind of let it run out of steam. And then once it runs out of steam and you try to bring it back from the dead, it's like, it's very hard to, it's easy to get something going and run with it. Yeah. But once it dies, it's like, you're going to put a new engine in a Corolla with 300,000 miles on the body. It's like, yeah, it's a brand new engine, but the body's, you know what I'm trying to say? So I was like, still just putting content out because I liked filming doing the content. And then came across Steve Wallace, probably 5 years ago, watched his videos for a long time. And I always wanted to stealth camp because I was still doing fishing, camping, this, that anyway. Stealth camping to me just seemed like a challenge and adventure, like something fun. And I thought I could put my own spin on it. I saw a shed at home, the first stealth camp. So I wanted to end the Puff Puff Bass brand and start a new era, whether it was still fishing outdoors or whatever it is, stuff I'm doing now, but I didn't align with Puff Puff Bass anymore. I don't really, we can get into all that later if you want, just bring it up, but I don't really partake much anymore at all. I still, handful of times here and there, but I try to stay away from things. I don't know what I can and can't say, but
you say what, I mean, I think you can say whatever you want. It's your, it's open forum.
Sounds good. And so I kind of was just, I didn't identify with the brand and all that anymore. All the videos are all still up. So if you go watch them, you can kind of see what I'm talking about. And I'm like, want to start a new brand, but keep it all here because it just shows evolution and growth and stuff. Like Absolutely. I said, so I saw a shed at Home Depot in conjunction with, I'm like, next week, I'm going to say bye to Puff Puff, say a goodbye video. And, think about how to rebrand it. Came up with the name, came up with the logo, all that, stupid stuff that everyone's got a logo and they have one subscriber, right? I'm like, I'll just take it from there. So I saw the shed. I'm like, I'm going to camp in the Home Depot shed. And then it'll be September 1st. It was like August 30th or September 1st. It'll be 2 years with, I haven't missed a week with a video yet. Sometimes a couple of weeks. I just,
no, you haven't. I went back, I looked, I noticed you're very consistent. And, recently, you were very open with some of the struggles you're going through with your mental health and everything.
Yeah. And recently was another dip in the road. Yeah.
You put a video out every week and, I mean, listen, to me, that's the bravest thing you could do. I mean, you're as vulnerable as you can be. You're in a bad, I mean, listen, I've been there myself and, I've never I come on this podcast and I've broken down on here and I've, sometimes the podcast ends and I feel like I don't know what I said. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, what I just said. I watch it again. I'm like, I can't believe I just said that. But
you go through that too. It's like, it's almost like, not to cut you off, but like, I've never heard anyone else acknowledge that, but it's definitely like a thing. Like when we're in those moments where it's hitting the fan and it's almost like you black out or something. And it's like, I almost can't even remember what just, I agree. I don't know if I'm putting it to words right, but is that kind of what you feel sometimes? Like,
well, yeah, sometimes, especially when I get on here and I start talking about my feelings and like, I'll just like, I know I'm saying it, but like, I don't really think about it at the moment.
Same. Yeah.
I have to get it out. And at the end, I'm like, oh my God, I think I just shared way too much. But that's what people, identify with, and that's what they connect with. And, we've had a couple of conversations about it, through text message and everything, but, I don't think men's mental health is talked about enough. I don't think it's shared enough. And
No,
with this being Men's Mental Health Awareness, I'm trying to get it out there and talk about it even more because, like back in the day, it was like just man up, go to work and do your thing. And, the fact that while you were, while you were in the place you were in, to put a video out each week, just like checking in and telling people, I mean, to me, that's the bravest thing you could have done, man. And we appreciate it.
no, I appreciate you not only for the acknowledgement, but for like we've chatted. We don't know each other too well, but we've talked a little bit, and I look forward to more. But I mean, I appreciate it all right back from you too. I think it's important. I think it's like you said, understated. Two men every minute around the world choose to go away. I know it's messed up. And even if they don't go that route, which is I keep wanting to throw out Sopranos quotes, but I haven't yet. Just for inside baseball, Anthony and we're both mega Sopranos fans, and we communicate via lines from the show.
So my audience knows, so they
Right.
wouldn't be surprised.
Well, I'm thinking, Eugene or Artie, that kind of stuff. But I'm not trying to make a joke out of it, obviously, but I just, it popped in my head because of the show has a lot of callbacks to that. And the show is such a big part of my life, like big part of my life. But it doesn't even if it's not that severe of a choice, because when you go that far to the final route like that, if there was like a second chance after you did that, you never would have done that, but they don't have the chance to course correct there. So that's like, there's a video of a guy, I don't know if you've seen it or not, but he tried doing that on the Golden Gate Bridge, and it didn't work out the way he planned. He, was rescued down there. And what he said was he was sitting on the bridge crying, people walking by him, and he's like full blown manic panic, something's wrong. Nobody looked at him. And so he says he got a running start, put his hands on the railing, and, just pole vaulted. And he said as soon as his hands left the railing, all he felt was regret. And then somehow he's like, I think they said he's like one of like 14 people that have, since the bridge went up, he's one of 14 people that, was successful in being unsuccessful. And, just hearing those words from his mouth, like, as soon as my hands left the railing, instant regret. And, at that point, it's like, but so off the morbid chain, but I agree with everything you said. I think it's important. I know it's Men's Mental Health Month, and I appreciate that they're breaking it down to men because, we're supposed to be strong society builders and this is and that's and man up and toughen up and alpha male, all that, all these fitness coaches and all these people now eating raw eggs and crap and like, telling you to start, e-commerce business, all that nonsense. I'm trying to, men's mental health, it means something to me. They're acknowledging us like specifically, but I think like just across the board, like, there's a lot of women too that suffer, like tons. And there's a lot of teenagers that suffer. And there's a lot of like veterans with PTSD, it's like, so again, like, I'm a man and I go through that stuff and I consider myself, like a voice or whatever, but I'm not minimizing the Men's Mental Health Month, but to me, it's like, it's every day is everybody's going through it,
100%. And I've talked about, and I've focused more on that as the years have gone on, just like mental health in general, like people just, because I feel like, coming out of COVID, people just were like, shut down and, inside for a couple of years. And I think coming out of that, people were not 100% where they wanted to be as far as their mental health and things like that. And trying to help people get back on track has been a big thing for me. And I've always said, like, if you have nobody else to talk to, DM me, just talk to, again, there's always somebody, and that's the great thing about social media can be a plus, as far as all the negative things on it and the stupid things on it. One of the things are, you can contact somebody that you have a connection with through, whether it be, just go like, you know, listen, we were throwing Soprano quotes back and forth. That's fun. We're laughing, you know, put you in a good mood, and you know,
I've had some crappy days, and seeing some of those memes and, you know, the lines back and forth, like even just for like 15 seconds out of my day, you know, he's a come from behind kind of guy. You know, it's just like, okay, like I had a pretty crappy day, but at least like that got me, you know, it's like, but we can sit there.
I think a quote sometimes from that movie, from that shows that just are funny that no one else would probably get.
Right.
And I do.
Or they won't even remember them because it goes like we talked about. It goes over their head.
Because I always say like the one that I talk all the time that, you know, some people I think was a throwaway line is Richie goes to Tony, goes, I got to talk to you. And he's like, about what? He's like, fucking Dick Barone. He's like,
as long as you two are happy. Right.
And I think that's one of the funniest things in that, funniest lines in that show. And especially since there's no improvising in that show. David Chase, he wrote, you said. So if you think about it like that, the genius of some of these scenes. And Sopranos is like on my list of shows that I watch on repeat. I mean, I watch it at least once a year on repeat.
Same. More than that. My wife hates it that it's just always on. Always. Nonstop, literally.
It's so good though. I mean, it's one of those things you have to watch over and over again.
Yeah, I think it's definitely shaped me into a lot of who I am. My parents were watching it live, and I remember watching the finale live in 2007. So I would have been like 15 or 16, whatever. And I watched it go black and all blah, blah, blah. But from the minute it ended, we had the DVDs, and then, you know, 6-2 came on. So I've had the DVDs and then now streaming, and I have it on my computer. Literally, I'll put it in the VLC media player and just play. And a lot of times I'll still watch it, but I could just put it on the background and tune it out. And all of a sudden I'll be at another episode I've seen 600 times, but I don't have to be tuned in. But yeah, literally since whatever, 04, 05, season 2, 3, 4, whatever. So for 20 some years, it's just literally, I don't think I've gone, if I went 30 days without watching an episode, you know.
That's awesome. I mean, I watched the original run when it started in 99. I was 20.
Okay.
So I'm a little older than you.
A couple years, right? What are you, 36?
I'm 46.
46. You were 20 and 99. Oh, 79, not 80.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I'm an old man.
Nah, it's all good. 50s or 47, whatever is, what'd you say, 47?
I'll be 46 in August.
46. Yeah, 46 is the new 26.
I mean, mentally, I'm like 13, so it's like it doesn't even matter.
Right.
But
I'm gonna leave some hate comments on your YouTube channel. Like, this dude is like supposed to be a comic and he just acts like a 14-year-old. Like,
he's just old. He doesn't know anything. I realize sometimes I sound old. Like my nephew will say things, and he's gonna be 12 next month, and he'll like they have their slang, and I hear it, and I'm like, what does that mean? Like I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like on Reddit and stuff or on Twitter. Yeah. There's a lot of posts, and it's all like in the mainstream stuff, like in, you know, the sports subs and music and crypto stock, whatever, that kind of stuff, or like, you know, aliens or conspiracy theories. I'm like, you know, big in all that stuff too. Not like rabbit hole crazy. I'm going to sit here and tell you the earth is flat, but I like reading and picking apart people's points of view. So I'm saying my point is it's all like the mainstream TikTok, MTV, all the kind of, even MTV, I'm dating myself. That's not even around anymore, but it's like all the modern generation, whatever they got their teeth sunk into is where you find all that crap. But like us normal people that are, you know, not 19 or under, like, yeah, I don't know. It's like when we were kids, and the old people now have to have an app for everything to go to the Tribe game or the Yankees game and scan their tickets, and they don't even know how to download the ticket app. And it's like, I'm only 35 and I don't use TikTok or know how to whatever they say, like, skibbity toilet or something. You know, I know that one because people are, you know.
Yeah, no, it's crazy, all the technology and the different apps and everything like that. And yeah, so I like how things have gone by, like what cash is not like accepted anymore. Like to me, that's insane.
Yeah. I went to the ballpark. I've been to 5 games this year so far. Guardians are going to be 500 at best.
Yeah, we're going to win the World Series this year. So
you got a shot for sure. I mean, as long as you guys can, I mean, you're not healthy per se, but as long as you guys can.
We're getting healthy. Stanton just started his rehab assignment.
Right.
We'll get Heel back in July at some point.
Right. No Garrett Cole though.
No Garrett Cole this season, but Freed's been unbelievable. Like it,
Yeah, big pickup, huge pickup.
Not getting Soto is probably like one of the best things that happened to this team.
I agree. I agree. I think he's always been one of the, just like a Machado, like he's a good player, but he's not a team player. Like versus like another like Bryce Harper or Trout. They're out there for their guys.
I wanted Bryce Harper so bad when he was a free agent. He wanted to be a Yankee, and Cashman just did not do anything to get him.
I don't think he fits the bill for New York personally. I think he'd be great to have just the hair and the beard and the attitude and the this and the that. He's a class act, but he's got no class, if that makes sense. I don't know how to like.
That's me. I'm a class act, but I have no class.
Right. I've been to 5 games so far this year, and every time I've gone, I have now realized, it's completely cashless. And a lot of people wait 20 minutes in line for Dollar Dog or for a loaded nacho or whatever it is at the team shop, and come to find out they can't use cash. And I think it's a rude awakening, not only for the clients or the fans, but for the stadium too. There has to be some loss and some fan services requests based around that. They didn't announce.
I'm an Islanders fan. They just built a new arena a couple years ago, UBS Arena.
All right.
And what they have now is you can go to a kiosk and put cash into a machine. They give you a card.
Right.
But that was like, I couldn't believe there was like no. When I walked in, I saw there was no cash. I was like, this is like, how do you take cash at a place? Like, this is like ridiculous. But as the signs of the times, everybody's zipping with the cards, Apple Pay, this and that. I mean, I've fallen into that myself, like just because that's how every place is.
Right.
It is
easier.
Yeah, I got to a fight at Starbucks because they wouldn't take cash. I had $100 bill on me, and I'm like, I want to break this.
Right.
So I ordered like breakfast and coffee at Starbucks, and if anybody goes to Starbucks, that's not cheap.
No,
everything came to about like $18.
If you get a sandwich and a pastry and a venti, whatever,
I got a sandwich, I got a pastry, and I got a venti caramel macchiato. That's my drink.
Right.
Skinny caramel macchiato. It's to me, it's delicious. And they were like 18 something, and I go hand them the 100. Like, we can't break this. I'm like, you kidding me? Like, you tell me you charge $8 for coffee. You don't got $80. You don't got 420s in there.
Literally,
and I'm like, you don't have to give me the other change. I'm like, just give me the 420s, and that's it. And she wouldn't do it, so I asked to speak to the manager. So I said, the choices are you can give me the change, or I'm going to just leave. And they handed me back the 100, and I said, go F yourself, and I drove off.
Yeah, I think What's that? Well, I didn't hear what you said.
Then I went to Dunkin', and they cashed it.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I when you were talking the Starbucks story, I know you're a comedian, because even though there was no punchline in there, like the way you described how like that, definitely you've got like the like who had an arc, Noah. You definitely have the joke arc down as far as your storytelling, but because like in my mind I'm like waiting for the punchline, but I knew there wasn't going to be one. I knew there was an end to the story.
Well, the punchline was I told them to go F themselves, and I
guess there was. I
didn't go back to Starbucks for 6 months because I was afraid that they were going to see me and spit my coffee.
Like, where's my arc?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what, Noah? Noah.
Yeah. I mean, it's it's easier, but at the same time, it's, I guess, like I said, it's just like a sign of the times,
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, that's where I notice, like, I'm getting older. It's like I'm becoming like the get off my lawn guy with certain things like that. Like, I'll like that like bothers me, and like, I notice like if I'm at the cigar lounge and I see kids riding their bikes in the parking lot, for some reason I have to like look and like, what are they doing? Like,
right.
That bothers me for some reason, where it never would have in the past, but for some reason that's something to bother me.
So I was a bad kid. I need to make a video. I've said I was going to do it for a while, especially during my mental health rants, because I've done like, there's been a few times or a couple weeks in a row I'm like not well, so I'll post a video telling people whatever, but I need to tell my whole story, like maybe in like 36 hour long episodes, 84 episodes, HBO will pick it up. But I was a bad kid, no structure. My parents, probably shouldn't have been parents. So I was kind of just raising my, blah, 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 whatever. Yeah. But point being is, we were bad kids. And somehow I didn't end up with a bad crowd. I ended up with a good crowd. So I was the bad kid in the good crowd, which probably saved me in a lot of ways too. But I don't remember where I heard it, but I heard it like 5-10 years ago. somebody said it to me, or I read it online, or saw it in a movie, and it's stuck with me ever since. And it's 100% true. Like I said, I'll be 35 in November. It was like paraphrasing for the most part, but close enough. Whatever you did as a kid or whatever you did when you were younger will piss you off when you're an adult. And dude, I'm that guy, basta, just, completely to a T, the guy that, I would go, pull pranks in the mall, or would be like, screaming in the food court and throwing food, whatever. I'm trying to think of stupid stuff, but, um, I just, like you said, the neighborhood kids, or like the 16-year-old down the street that just bought like a new Honda Civic and put an exhaust on it, and he's doing 45 up the street. And, I like wait for him to come back, and I go stop his car and tell him, like, if you hit my dog, stuff like that, like, I don't know. I'm not, I didn't age gracefully based on the things I, put other people through, because now when I'm on the other end of the, sword, it's like not good.
No, but at least you came a long way. And I think if that can make you upset, that shows your as we'll go back to again, the character arc, going from like Steve Sanders on 90210 has one of the best character arcs in television history.
Is he the actor, or is that a character's name?
It's a character on Beverly Hills 90210. Well, one of the best television shows of all time.
I remember watching it. My mom and dad were big fans because they were, Gen X, 1968. They're both born. So when that was all, like, I remember, like Jason Priestley, and what's the girl's name?
Shannon Doherty.
Shannon Doherty, and who's the other one? Yeah, she passed away. Jason Priestley died too, didn't he?
No, Luke Perry died.
Luke Perry died, right?
Yeah.
Jason Priestley, he's like a NASCAR driver now or something.
Yeah, he drives race cars. He still acts and everything. But that show came on when I was 10.
Okay.
And I got hooked like right away, and it was like that was my show for the next 10 years. I think about 10 years. Every Wednesday at 8, I was hooked.
Yeah, I remember watching all the good old stuff. I grew up on that kind of stuff, and like Nick at Night when I was a kid. But they showed like the good stuff, like Jeffersons and Roseanne and Different Strokes and Brady Bunch and Beverly Hillbillies. And then now it's like Rob Dyrdek's what is it? What's the show? Ridiculousness,
yeah.
24 hours straight is like all you can find on TV, or Comedy Central with like 4 minutes and then 10 minutes of commercials. Like, I stay in hotels a lot when we go out and fish, but the weather's crappy.
Yeah.
Especially like early season, it's like 30 degrees at night, so we won't camp. And so when I'm forced to watch cable TV in a hotel, it like amazes me like how we thought we had it bad when we were kids with that kind of stuff, and how it's like 1,000 times worse now. And they conned us with streaming services.
Yeah.
And that's what they do. It's like they got you to buy into this whole new thing, and then Netflix turned into 10 different streaming services. And then, so now you're paying for 10 different things that equals the amount of cable. And now they got commercials on there too. So it's the same exact. Yeah.
It kills me because I had Prime. I have Amazon Prime because I have Prime for my shipping and everything.
There's nothing on it. There's nothing on it.
Well, even when I find something on it, there's commercials. I'm like, well, what's the point of having this? Like, why do I have this?
Right.
The same thing with like, I have Peacock because the WWE Network's on. I'm a big wrestling fan.
Okay.
So I have it for that, because for that, to me alone, that's worth it, having the PLEs, for $10 a month.
Right.
Whatever it is. But like you watch something and it's like, why am I watching commercials? Like I have it. This is why I DVR things, because I'll just DVR it and I'll fast forward through the commercials.
Yeah.
But 100%. Netflix, I'll give them that. Like you can get through the commercials, and a lot of things they have on there are commercial, or I pay a little more for ad free. So it's the same thing as having, full cable and everything else like that. It's that they got you.
Yeah, no, it's they come in, they chop the price, make it all flashy, this, that. Then once they, their market's never going to increase more than they have now. It's always going to be, they'll gain 100,000, lose 50,000, gain 200,000, lose 100,000. They jack up the price, they bring it back to what it was and cut costs and this is and that. And it's like, it's like when Walmart moves into the small town, mom and pops all die within 5 years. And then instead of paying, it equals out to where, they accomplished their goal, and now they're the only spot in town and you're paying what you're paying.
I kind of like that, we'll go back to social media and kind of like what people doing on for Instagram and Facebook and even YouTube, to the extent where they're showcasing more of the mom and pop shops, as far as like with like restaurants and just other places like that, which I think bring more attention to it. I mean, I actually made a video eating at a brunch spot, and that got, for me, like, I don't have like a lot of viewers or anything like that, but I got like some attention. And it's like, okay, people are, bringing this back into the forefront, where it's not just corporations, like, bringing back these small places are coming back a little bit.
I think post COVID, that's been a thing. I think so. It's almost like pre-COVID, the corporations were taking over even more, and then COVID hit, and a lot of the mom and pops died away, which
Yeah.
that had been long term like mainstays. A lot of them died away. So like, yeah, the mom and pop diner that you've been eating at since you were 10 years old, 30, 40 years, your grandpa was taking you there, smoking cigarettes at the table, whatever. And, nothing better than, pancakes with your grandpa with a, nice Camel Light in the morning. And those all went away because of the times. And then post COVID, there's like the real estate market, a lot of things were vacant and a lot of people were working from home. So there's like all these opportunities for new things. A lot of corporations scaled down or shifted to new footprints, is the best way to put it. Like, so now you're seeing kind of, in my opinion, you're seeing in Cleveland anyway, we're still kind of in our renaissance the last 10, 15 years, but it's still going. It hasn't stopped, which is awesome. It's like, crap times and boom times and but we're still going up. But a lot of new mom and pop stuff is coming out of the woodwork all the time. It's great. Pizza joints, especially breweries. I'm kind of sick of breweries because there's 200 already and 200 going each year. But little restaurants, old factories turning into this and that. It's a lot better seeing stuff repurposed and new stuff than like around here they're tearing down forests to build new condos and stuff.
Well, I said with Cleveland, I remember like seeing something when LeBron first left. They had built up that downtown area.
He was a big catalyst.
Yeah, a lot of restaurants and bars and stuff like that. And then when he left, did that take a hit, or like was it kept on going because people were already invested in the team again?
I mean, we're big sports fans, so it's a good thing in the sense that, I mean, Cleveland kind of hit its renaissance in like the early 2000s, like the late early 2000s, like 08, 9, 10, like right when I was graduating high school. And that coincided with LeBron being here, but then he left, but we already had momentum. So it hurts a little bit because we weren't going to the playoffs, every single year, but 4 or 5 years he was gone. The city still continued to thrive. And then when he came back after 4 seasons when he came back, we'd still been growing. And then that kind of was like another big spark to it,
you built that team back up. You got Kyrie. They had a good nucleus, and you got
Kevin Love, Tristan, all of them.
You got LeBron back and you got a championship. So, I mean, that's you can't argue with that.
No, I mean, the Browns draw well, even if they're terrible. The Tribe hasn't won since 1948.
No, I respect Cleveland sports fans because they've been through the ringer with their team.
So as bad as the Browns, the Browns are the butthole of the NFL, probably of the whole sports world. But one of the stats that really blows my mind is that the Browns, for as crappy as they are, they have the most football championships, different leagues. I think like the second or third most of all. But they've also won a championship more recently than the Indians or the Guardians. So the Browns last won in 1964. I think that was the year before the first Super Bowl. But the Tribe hasn't won since 1948. So, I mean, it's even if the Browns are like the laughing stock of the entire sports world, it's, our baseball team hasn't won in even longer than they have. It sucks.
It's crazy to think too, like, they moved that team out of Cleveland, which was, to me, it's a crime and it should never have happened.
It was all up. There's a lot of that went in behind the scenes though. It shouldn't have, but they moved the team out of Baltimore, and then we had a team 3 years later. So you can't even build a stadium in 3 years. They knew they were moving that franchise and then expand. So they wanted Baltimore to have a team now because it's money wise, and then make Cleveland build a whole brand new stadium and blah, 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 blah. So it was all backdoor
Yeah,
deals.
it's all backdoor deals, but like you think about, like they've won 2 Super Bowls. Like that's your Super Bowls. That's how I look at it. Like
It's the
Cleveland.
same franchise. Like
Yeah,
when, if they would have won a Super Bowl here the year before they moved, the Baltimore Ravens franchise would have 3 Super Bowl. That's the team that's been in Cleveland since whatever
yeah.
1937. Now they're in Baltimore. It's like when the Sonics moved to Oklahoma City. Like if OKC pulls this off, the statistician books, the stats, basketball reference, that franchise has 2 championships because the Sonics won one in whatever 1978 or something.
I thought that when the whole part of the Browns deal was that all the history would remain with the new team that came in.
And so that's what they say. But as far as what I personally believe, and I think what like Football Reference or like the official record books, I mean, it's the same franchise.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you're looking at, you can look at it from both prongs. But of course, Cleveland fans and the team that's been here for 25 years versus 80 whatever years is gonna stand by that. Like it's their the first championship since 1964 if it ever happens. But in theory, it's their first championship ever because it's like if the McDonald's next to your house closes and then a new one opens up half a mile down the road, but it's a new owner. It's like, I've been eating at this McDonald's for 37 years. It's like, no, you ate at the one that burned down and they opened this new one. It's not the same joint.
Technically, it's my first Big Mac because I've eaten here now only once.
Have you ever seen that guy that's had like 37,000 Big Macs or something?
Yeah, so this makes no sense to me. How is this so alive?
I don't know. And he saves the receipts and all the boxes and has like a spreadsheet of all them. Like, like everyone's got their thing, I guess. But
yeah, if I was gonna eat like one thing, it wouldn't be Big Macs.
No.
It'd be like my grandmother's lasagna. So I freeze dried it and I can put it in the freezer forever and just have that like every day. That's what I would have.
Just get like a meat delivery and just go grab some cold cuts out of the fridge just at will. Just always have freshly wrapped cold cuts in the fridge sort.
I kind of can have that if I want. My brother owns a deli, so I could
are you on Staten Island, you said? Or
no, Long Island.
Long Island, okay.
Yeah, that's not. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I've only been to the tri-state area, I think 3 times, different areas each time. But so is that local to you, where you can go get a sandwich if you want?
Yeah, so Long Island is a suburb of New York. It's
right.
Delis are very prominent here on Long Island. It's a big thing. Like the bacon, egg, and cheese is Long Island's like signature food. You get
on
bacon,
a bagel.
You can get on a bagel, but like on a hard roll, bacon, egg, and cheese on a roll, ketchup. That's our thing. The pizza here is great. Italian, of course, Italian food's great in New York. I love it here on Long Island. I'm not a big city guy, so like I think Long Island has everything you would need. If you want the city, it's an hour away. If you want to go out east to the wineries, the Hamptons, that's a couple hours, an hour or so away. I live on the South Shore, which the beaches here are awesome. We even have a couple of campgrounds if you like camping. I am actually talking camping. I'm planning my first camping trip. I've told you about that. And I was going to do it.
Mention that.
Yeah, I was going to do it actually Memorial Day weekend, but the thought of the bugs and everything like that kind of, I think I'm gonna be more of a fall camping guy, or towards the winter, that kind of thing. That's gonna be more my speed.
Yeah, so I personally I call them, I guess it's in the industry or in whatever outdoors, it's called shoulder seasons. So like, tail end of winter into early spring, kind of getting into early summer, like, April, May, early June-ish, like shouldering spring into summer, winter into spring to summer. I find more enjoyable than the heat of summer. And then like that, it's getting later every year. It used to be like, mid-September, so it's cooler nights and whatnot. Tony Soprano, the frost is on the pumpkin. It's like
I use that expression now.
Oh, so do I. Love it. But like late September, early October, basketball start and football's been going for a few weeks. Leading into winter. I like those shoulder seasons a lot more, because the fish will come alive and start to spawn, early season. And then late season, they start to eat more to get fat for winter. And then they bed down. So fishing, I think, is a lot better. And then the temperatures and whatnot, too. It's like you deal with more erratic weather, you could get snow, cold, hot, whatever. But I think it's camping, fishing. It's a lot more comfortable than, here within the next couple of weeks. It's going to be, sleeping with a USB fan pointed at my
Yeah.
barrage hole. So I'm not, so I can get some sleep.
That moist.
And then, yeah, exactly. You got it. And, getting up, I like to get up early and go fish. I also like to fish the evenings.
Okay.
But in the shoulder seasons, you can kind of fish all day and it's not too hot. The water is not too warm. So you have a better chance, like they say, early bird gets the worm. But when it's super hot, like, yeah, either you're out there like before the sun's too high in the sky or once the sun starts to go down, because, yeah, it's being out there in the middle of the day is just miserable. But for camping purposes, later in the season you go, like, yeah, early fall, most of the bugs are gone by like mid to late August,
Yeah, see, here in Long Island, we have to deal with, and they're coming around now, is these lantern flies. I don't know if you have them in Ohio.
They're here too, yeah, in a big way. You're supposed
Oh
to kill
my
them on
God.
site.
Yeah, you kill them on site. We do it all like summer long. It's just like, and they're saying like, eventually they're going to be like, there's a regular bug because, animals now are realizing they like to eat them, like the birds are eating them. People are killing them and things like that. So hopefully eventually, but like I don't sit outside during the summer. Like I sometimes I have my Tony Soprano summer lunches where at work where I'll sit out and have a cigar. But like they fall out of the trees, they jump right at you. Like I'm not dealing with this. So I really don't spend too much time. Like I sit at my brother's house. We got a fire going. My brother's got the TV outside to watch Yankee games at night and things like that. So
there you go.
Yeah, so that kind of thing. But like I can't stand the bugs. I really can't. It's not my thing.
Yeah, they're vicious. Speaking of that Canada trip, I hadn't been up to Canada in a long time. And then in the last 2 years, I've made 3 trips. And then I did that canoe trip, northern Minnesota, and I was 10 kilometers. If I would have paddled another day north, which I could have crossed the border. So I guess you can count it kind of 4 times, like super far north. But you want to talk about like camping at a campsite, where you just back in your truck and something on Long Island or around blah, 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 other stuff around here too. Nothing wrong with that. Please go. And I'm not hating on it at all. I encourage everybody to go out there and do that because it's great, especially if you have those kind of opportunities. But forget about it when it comes to the bugs up there and, literally to the point where you'll be driven mad because it's just in your ear, in your tent, when you're sleeping, they're on your arms, you're itching your neck, your arm, your legs. It's just like, yeah, it's not just mosquitoes. It's black flies. It's pine beetles. It's, before you know it, it's, you think you got them all. It's bad. You're wearing bug nets and bug dope and wearing long sleeves and long pants, even though it's 100 degrees out and you're wet and stuff, just because it's, your only defense.
Yeah.
So I like personally, when I was at that camp, like I was talking about, it started like the last week in June and went till the second week of August. And by like the tail end of July, very early August, like the last 2 weeks ish, 90% of the bugs would go away. And at that point, you're so used to them. It's like, they might as well still be here because, it's already come and gone.
Friends?
Right.
Yeah. So like because just watching different YouTubers and stuff like that, what they're dealing with the bugs. I don't know if you watch Sam Banana's channel at all.
Yeah, so he's actually local to me too. I think he's from Toledo. He's like right on the Ohio-Michigan border, on our western border, Toledo area, maybe southern Michigan, like south of Detroit. But
he's got a sleeping bag that has a bug net over it. I've seen where like when he sleeps outside, a
lot of those hammock guys too, like Tony and Steve Wallace.
Yeah,
Steve doesn't really hammock, but Steve Wallace or Tony from Random Adventures and Hammock Mountain, a couple other guys. They have those big hammocks that have the bug nets on them too.
And those work like they or like not really.
I camped with Tony for the first time. We just collabed again. All those videos that are coming out last week, this week, next week. He came to me and we camped, and I slept in one of his hammocks, and it had the bug net. And at the top of it, like you got to be in it to see it because it's like a sleeping hammock thing. It's not just like, but there was like, I don't even know how big it was. 2-inch diameter circle at the top, like right where the zipper would go, because you zip it and get out.
Yeah.
So it was like right at the top, but I was getting destroyed all night long. Like, it was like about this time of year. I think it was like almost a year ago to the day. And, it's dark. I'm sleeping, and they were just dozens of them just coming in from that one spot. Like, I don't know how the hell they figured it out. But then also it was hot as hell. So I was, in my boxers and a shirt, and I had like just a really thin quilt just to go over me.
Yeah.
And I swear to God, they were coming through the bottom of the hammock, like biting. They'd land on the hammock and bite up through it, just as if it was like my t-shirt. Like imagine it lands on your shirt and bites
Yeah.
through your shirt, but through the hammock, like on my ass and my back and my legs. Like unless I was just like I said before, like driven so mad because they were coming through that hole and actually on me. But I swear I was getting chowed all night.
Yeah,
So,
because I see those bug nets. I'm like looking like they don't look like it's all the way closed. Like that has to be like zippered or something.
yeah, I mean, no matter what, nothing's 100% foolproof. They make those like thermocells that work pretty well. Citronella candles, stuff like that. You can wear like bracelets and necklaces and bug nets, but it's like I don't know. It's at a certain point, it's like I kind of just I'm not going to sit here and say that like I am not bothered by bugs because I 100% am just like the next guy. But at a certain point, like, I'm just desensitized to them, and
You've been around it so long, yeah.
The bugs I've been in the worst possible bugs that I ever will have been in my life. So anything even comparable to that is like it is what it is because you're already there.
Yeah,
and or it's just part of the game, kind of. I don't
absolutely. But yeah, so that's why for me, like my first like adult solo, camp is going to be in the best possible conditions. And one thing we don't have here on Long Island, we don't have bears. So the bears freak me out too. Like when I watch the videos and I see everybody like taking precautions and carrying bear spray, I'm like, well, this is like a real thing that could happen. Have you ever had a bear or come across a bear like all these years camping?
So it's funny you mentioned that. No. Well, yes, but no. So up in Canada on those canoe trip years, I can tell you for sure, black bears are pretty benign, but that's pretty much what's all up that way until you get to like the Hudson Bay kind of area where there's potential for polar bears. Black bears will spook pretty damn easily.
Yeah.
I saw a couple, but they never like even if unless they took off right away, they would kind of see us when we're paddling, canoeing, and kind of do their thing on shore and then just go away. Like as we're not like crossing paths with them, we'd see them. Be more afraid of a moose than a bear every day of the week.
That's what Luke said on the Outdoor Boys. He goes, more people
Yeah.
get killed by moose up in Alaska and Minnesota and things than anything else.
Yeah, when they're in heat, they're the most dangerous animal on the planet. I mean, even with their racks, 12 feet tall, 14 feet tall. I mean, they'll just you think you're going to run, hide behind it. You're just say goodnight. But in Canada, I've seen them a few times. In Pennsylvania, I spend most of my time fishing and camping in Pennsylvania, like 8 out of 10 days. I saw in 15 or 16 years of going up to PA, I saw one like 10 years ago, 12 years ago. We were driving to go get beer or something, and it's all back roads, nothing out there, like 20 minutes to go to the nearest whatever, a small town.
Yeah.
And a black bear ran across the road. And that was the first one I'd ever seen in PA. I was like, and then last winter, I saw one from afar in a field, like on the edge of the woods. But I was doing like 70 miles an hour on a back road. And I'm like, I can't say 100% that it was one, but I'm like 95% sure. And then I just saw what is either the second verified or the third one like 2 weeks ago. I just got done fishing and I was driving down along the river. Like there's a road along it and steep little embankment. And this bear just pops its head up over the guardrail. And I like slammed on my brakes. Luckily no one was behind me. And slamming on the brakes, he probably would have spooked anyway, but spooked him and he just took off in the woods because I don't see him that often. We're out hiking and fly fishing and stuff, and you'll see the paw prints, or is that what you call them? Bear paws, I guess, whatever.
Yeah, paw prints.
You'll see them, and you'll see where they like scratch at trees and down trees for grubs and stuff. So you're there, that they're there.
Yeah, I mean they're in the grizzly bears are that would freak me out even the most because like Luke. I watched this one video where I was on an island, on a beach, and he's looking up and down, and he goes, "Oh, look at that! That's a grizzly paw print." He goes, "This is where I want to build my camp," and he makes a shelter like right on top of where that paw print was, and he's cooking like right there. I'm just thinking like, why isn't this guy like not more scared of of this?
I think internally he was, and he's just trying to make good video. I'm not hating by any means, but he's not going to not be aware, and he probably had something that was.
So yeah, another time he was hiking and he actually said there's a grizzly bear over there. And you couldn't really see it in the video, but you saw, And he said, like, he goes, he had his gun with him. He goes, this would take him down. He goes, what am I gonna do with a dead grizzly bear? He has his bear spray too. And
if it attacks you, yeah, but if it's just doing its thing or like comes in and goes, it's like, but
Yeah.
those, you know, the brown bears probably will spook before they attack you unless they're hungry or in heat or with their cubs. But as far as like grizzly bears or polar bears, I'd say if you come across one, it's 50-50. And if you really come across one, surprise it or this or that, like you're probably pretty toast, you know.
well, that's comforting. Yeah. So that's why I'm gonna do my little pull up into the spot and
Right.
you know, on the here on Long Island.
I'm
But no,
more,
like,
I'm more afraid of people though, honestly, than bears or moose or whatever. Like,
oh yeah, that's what I wanted to bring up. So you have one of the, I guess this is probably also like probably the second or third video of yours I saw. Actually, I saw this on TikTok, and I then I put it together that it was you.
Mm.
You went out camping, and you're
not far from here. Yeah.
okay, so you're in the woods by in you're not far from where you live.
Right.
And you heard, and there was somebody walking around your tent, like hitting in your tent,
Messing with me. Yeah.
messing
Just
with you in the woods. And you know that had to be like, so take me through, like, did you have the feeling that somebody was watching you at all while you were doing this, or it just all of a sudden happened out of the blue?
well, so both. So if you watch the video, you could, so that it's another thing. When I was going back and editing it, I had realized, I knew I had said that a few times, like, you know, I feel like someone's watching me, the hair on my back of my neck. And then when I'm editing it, and like there's a lot of shots, you know, that are just like clips of a 10-minute scene of me setting up my tent or setting up the cooking. So it's like 20 minutes of footage is like 30 seconds of actual what you see. But I left some of that in there on purpose because as I'm editing it, you could like see, like I would hear something and like I'm cooking or doing something, camera's just set up over here, and I'm just like looking, or like I like get startled, you know, not like stops me from what I'm doing, but like, you know, I'm like very cognizant and aware of like what's going on around me. Like my lizard brain is enacted or something. And then, you know, hearing the footsteps and kind of like it was definitely people, but I don't know what their intent was or their goal was, but they were definitely like, they were intimidating. And I think they were trying to intimidate me and get me out of there, which I did. You know, a lot of people would say I should have been prepared, which I wasn't. You know, I don't really ever do that. But at the same time, a lot of people, you know, put yourself in that position. What would you have done? Would you have been? I mean, if you're, you know, ready to roll, you know, I mean, I guess stand your ground, and you know, it's not, we're not in Texas or the, you know, the West. It's not the wild, wild West by any means, but I'm sure if it came down to me having to take care of business, you know, it is what it is. You do what you got to do, make a judgment call. But on the other hand, if you're just caught off guard or just out there filming a stupid camping video, and you know, whether it's a bear or a moose or a squirrel that terrifies you and you don't even know it's you know, you're gonna try and get out of there, and that's what I did. You know.
And when you were going back to the truck, did anybody, like, were they following you, or they just left you after you left?
They were, but they weren't. I didn't feel like I was being. I mean, I felt like I was being chased, but they weren't like on my tail. I think they were just more like pushing me out of there. So we live Cleveland. If you look at it, the Cuyahoga River runs, and that's what flows into Lake Erie downtown. It splits the east side of Cleveland, west side of Cleveland, and all along it, then all the way south down to Lake Akron is the Cuyahoga Valley National Park. It's huge national park surrounded by Cleveland and then Akron. You know, like 5 million people, you know, in like a 50 square mile area. So it's a national park. So deep forest, and not, you know, you couldn't get lost in there for 3 days with no food or water type stuff, but it's a big, lot of untouched areas.
Yeah.
And I go fish a lot. There's all kinds of rivers that flow into the lake, and you go back to some of these areas off major roads, like 10, 15 minutes out there. And there's a lot of homeless camps and stuff in the woods because it's easy for them to just kind of, you know, they can be out during the day doing whatever they do, transient or begging or even working, whatever. And then that's just where they sleep, or they're, you know, doing things that they shouldn't be doing, you know, putting stuff in their bodies, whatever it might be.
Kevin from Small Plots made a video and put, like, we went into his local.
Oh, last week, I think, right?
Yeah. And he showed like it was a lot of people that were living out in the woods over there, and like where he camps. So, like, you know, I can see that.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Rochester. He's
Yeah, exactly.
same state, but it's way north.
Yeah,
Of where I am.
Rochester.
Rochester. There, you got a Rochester. You know, it's close to where you know, Monticello, where they found Kelly.
Yeah, that near that George Washington slept to your house.
George Washington slept to your house. So that so like that, like kind of like he said, like, you know, I camp not too far from here, and you could probably see like somebody being threatened that, like, you know, this is where I'm staying and this is where it is. But I think yours is they were just trying to, you know, it's just people just messing with you, and but it's scary. It had to be like the scariest night of your life. I couldn't imagine being in that situation.
Yeah, it was definitely not fun. I really think if I had to bet $100, that's what it was. Again, as I was mentioning, there's a lot of rivers that flow into Lake Erie, and there's good fishing along them without all the fishing accoutrement. There's been times, you know, I'm getting out there at first light or like dawnish, you know, whether it's 5:30 or 7 a.m., depending on the day or the time of year. And, you know, you're walking from a parking lot or a road access down through these trails. And, you know, now a lot of those areas I'm familiar with now. So, you know, there's always new camps, people moving around. There's even been times, you know, like I'm nervous, just literally walking in at 7:30 a.m. on a, you know, Saturday morning, and it's still sun still coming up, and you don't want to disturb someone that's been up all night or that's, you know, not in the right frame of mind, or even if they're just sleeping, minding their business, and you walk up on them, passing by their thing just to go fish a hole right there.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, I don't know. I don't really like confrontation. I don't puff my chest. I'm not a hard ass by any means. Like, I'll do what I have to do, you know, but take care of myself. But, you know, it's like, I'm a pretty passive, try and stay out of people's way kind of guy, you know.
I hear you, man.
I'm a beta male. I'm a cuck. I'm a sheep, you know, according to YouTube.
I have a short temper.
Same,
That
yeah.
can get fused, like if you get very easily.
Muscles marinara, you got red pepper flakes up your ass.
Yeah, I got you know, penny arrabbiata.
Penny arrabbiata, right?
Yeah, penny arrabbiata.
Italian strongman.
Yeah, it's basically it's kind of like what, you know, I can get like that, and I'm older now, and it's like I check myself a lot.
For
you
ticks,
know,
too. Check yourself for ticks.
I gotta check myself for ticks and my my attitude. Like actually a couple of weeks ago at the lounge, I got up and went, you know, walked towards somebody who was got into a little bit of a disagreement, and he decided to start, you know, he was saying things that, you know, he called me an effing pussy, and the third time then I got up and was like, okay, well it's, and I'm like, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna hit somebody outside, like, you know, I'm gonna get arrested for, you know, was it that serious? Like, I'm like, you're not 20, so
right.
But luckily the guy who worked there handled it very well. He you know, he locked the door so the guy couldn't come back in. And once he, of course, he saw the door was locked, then he got even louder outside, you know, because he knew I wasn't going to be walking out. But
that's one of my favorite scenes of all time in any movie is in Bronx Tale when the bikers go into
Now You Can't Leave.
Yeah, Now You Can't Leave, exactly.
That's a true story too. I heard Chaz Palminteri tell that story.
Loosely based on, I mean, at the very least, something like that definitely happened, probably more than once too.
Right? Yeah, he said, I forget how, it's actually on, it's on like Instagram and Instagram Reel. He tells the actual story of how that scene went down.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, it's fantastic movie, and like it's great, like, you know, especially like watching like Goodfellas and things like that. I'm so close to a lot of those things that happened. Like those, you know, you pass by some of these locations all the time.
Right.
As far as Long Island lore, I don't know if you follow like the whole there's a Gilgo Beach killer that we had here.
I don't think so.
So yeah, so there was this guy who over like, it started back in like 2011. They were finding bodies at one of the beaches here on Long Island. And then it was going on for over 10 years, and they finally found him, and he lives like two towns away from me.
Okay. And
I used to drive Uber to make a little extra cash. I remember I passed his house because it was on the news. And you look at this house, it's like the one house in the neighborhood that does not fit. Like, it's just not kept. It was red color. And I'm like, who the hell lives here? I'm like, imagine living here and this guy lives next to you.
Right.
And I guess they were following him for a while. And the way they found him was they got his DNA off a slice of pizza he threw in the garbage in New York City.
Huh.
And then they got his DNA and they matched it. And it's been a whole thing that's been going on here on Long Island, like this guy, because it's literally like 5 minutes from the cigar lounge I hang out in his house. My friend Nick, who is the unofficial tour guide of Long Island, will give you a tour. He'll give you everything from like, Amy Fisher's house to this guy's house and everything in between. He went I texted him at work because he's usually on top of all the stuff. I texted him at work and I'm like, are you at the house already? And he goes, what do you mean? I'm like, you didn't see it? And I sent him the link and he's like, I'm leaving work right now.
Nice.
And he left work. He got on the news and he was wearing a Texas Chainsaw Massacre hat. And somebody made a meme and said, honey, the news is outside. Get my hat. And it said the hat. And people were sending it to me like, is that Nick? I'm like, yeah. They go, it's perfect that he wore that hat. I'm like, he wore that to work this morning.
Right.
That's how he dresses. Like, it's not like he wore it because he thought he was gonna be on the news. It's just how he is.
What does he do for a living?
So he works for the post office, but he works in the maintenance building.
Okay, I was going to say, I was wondering what kind of job would allow him to wear that to work anyway. It's like, if I wore like a Bada Bing shirt to work and seeing clients and stuff.
Yeah, no, he doesn't see any people. He cleans the building. So he's when he was a mail carrier, when he actually carried the mail, he had to wear the uniform. But this is like total. He doesn't deal with customers at all. Doesn't see people. All the people he sees are the people that work into the main building. But so he can wear whatever he wants.
Right. Yeah.
Bada Bing shirt would go very well with the clients.
I had one and I don't know what happened to it. I really wanted to get a Sopranos tattoo. I have like 10 tattoos I want to get, but I don't know which one I would decide from or where I would do it or what it would be.
I got some pulp.
I remember you sent me that. I love that. So you sent me that and it didn't say some pulp on the carton, but it said it above it. Right. And I didn't realize it had set it above it because I just opened the photo and saw that immediately and responded to you. And I'm like, missed opportunity. Then you said, I forget exactly what you said, but then I went back and looked at, it says some pulp.
Yeah. So what happened was they tried to put it on the thing. It just wasn't popping because of the American traditional style. So he put it above it, and I liked the way it looked above it too. So I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And then the orange juice is dripping down. And I have the horns.
No, I love it for sure. Get a little smoked turkey in this house.
Yeah, what's my humble day? A little smoked turkey. No, it's the show is. We've talked about it. It's amazing.
Did you go? Did we talk about Sopranos Con? Did you go?
I didn't go. No,
I missed out.
My friend Nick went. He met a lot of the guys there. A lot, Lorraine Bracco. She's still hot.
You think so? Yeah.
He said it. Like I see. I watched Nona's. She was in it. I'm like, yeah, she's still good. I mean, 70 years old Lorraine Bracco. You can get it.
In interviews and whatnot, though, she seems like she's not at all Melfi by any means. She's like, I mean, I'm not dogging her if she ever sees this for whatever reason, but she's like one of the more obnoxious people I think I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, I don't know how to be more blunt than that, but she just seems like, I don't know how she could sit still and, just therapy, even just acting wise. That's how she's a great actress because she's, it was complete opposite of, she's not playing herself.
No, she's definitely a loud Italian woman from New York. That's definitely who she is.
Right.
And originally, she got offered the role of Carmela, but turned it down because she didn't want the same kind of role she had with in Goodfellas.
Right, Karen. Right. So, she it's funny too because now that I'm thinking about that, my least favorite scene in Goodfellas is when Henry comes home at like 7:30 a.m. or whatever. And Karen and her mom, I guess, who's, obviously in the show, mother. Yeah, Mary, get up and he comes in and then starts smiling, walks back out, and they're screaming at the top of their lungs and just like the overstimulation of the yelling and all the commotion. Like I literally have fast forwarded through that scene.
Really? I love that scene.
It's a good scene. He's laughing and they're busting his balls in the car.
Pesci's like, we got people. Yeah, wait.
Hey, Henry, come on, Henry.
Come on, Henry.
But yeah, she's a class act. Let me ask your opinion.
Sure.
So of all, I guess I don't even say Tony's Gumar's, but I guess all the women in the show, who is the most attractive to you?
Good choice. Good question.
I'm not going to answer the question, by the way, because I'm married, but people on Reddit ask it all the time. And you're probably one of the biggest.
So obviously Drea Di Matteo. I mean, she's
at the time. You're saying,
at the time that show comes on, she is. But as the show went on, Jamie Lee Singler, she was hot.
I like her though because she's
my
awesome
age.
in real life. Yeah, she's
Yeah,
awesome.
she was
in
like
real
my
life.
age too. So like watching that. I tell you, one of the girls I liked, like wasn't I'm trying to think of the women on that show. I mean, the wives weren't like anything.
I think that was by design though.
Yeah,
because that's what David Chase said when he was casting even Gandolfini and Little Steven. Like he didn't want a bunch of like pretty boy, like the Situation kind of guys. A bunch of.
I mean,
Guidos.
Carmella was like she was Edie Falco's attractive.
Her house was traditional.
Yeah, traditional. But and I liked what's her name? Arena, the Russian.
Oh,
right?
Irina.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she I like that look because she looks like Tiffany Amber Thiessen a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Who was like my all-time like 90s crush. Like not Saved by the Bell Tiffany Amber Thiessen. I'm talking about 90210.
Okay.
Era Tiffany Amber Thiessen is like my all-time like celebrity crush. And like it's like crazy now because she still looks good. She's in her 50s. And on her Instagram, all she does is cook. And I'm like, you are like just singing to me like right now. Like you are like,
it's amazing as we get older how all the fluff and pomp and circumstance goes away. And we're just like, like again, we just want a little smoked turkey.
Yeah, like you're still hot and now you're making this food. I'm like, all right, let's you're it's totally different from how I thought in the 90s, but like now it's like a whole different thing. It's like, yes, you're still you're still my crush.
I think the like juxtaposition of Tony being, trying to be a good dad and a good husband and all that while still maintaining being a complete piece of garbage, like the total anti-hero type thing. It always really struck me personally because I feel like I'm not a mob boss in therapy, blah, 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 but like I'm in therapy and I try to be good at everything I do and give my work and passions attention and be a better person, this and that, but I still have my own problems and it's hard and I lash out, it's like the same thing. Like just, it's like the same person, just different strokes for different folks. So
I kind of relate to what you just said because, like, when I was doing comedy, like a lot, like Long Island comics used to refer to me as Mr. Unpleasant.
Yeah, it's your shtick. It's what you got.
Yeah, because I just have a short thing and I don't put up with nonsense. And listen, I can be, an asshole. I'll be the first one to say it. But like, my friends always say, if you're friends with Anthony, like he'll do anything for you. Like, he's like the best guy you'll know. But if he doesn't, you don't know him, and you are out of line or anything like that, it's like it's a whole different thing. And it's kind of true. Like, I will, if I'm your friend, I will go to the, I'm end of the earth. I'm an uncle. I have 3. My brother's got 3 kids. I have 2 nephews and a niece, and they mean the complete world to me. It's like, and I would do anything for them, and I would have to take eyeballs out if anybody who ever hurt them.
Right.
And people see that and like, oh, it's so endearing. But then like, on the other hand, I'll be like, I could turn around and kind of have that Tony attitude where like, if you're not on his side or something like that, and not like I'm going to, take chicken wire and, kill you in front of your own construction trailer. But
right. You took an oath and you broke it.
No, you broke it. But verbally, I could definitely go at people. And being a comedian has helped with that over the years. Like I have a very sharp tongue. And
yeah, I think. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say like my friend Vinny always tries to go at me. Like he always wants to and I told him, Vinny, it's just as it goes on, it gets meaner and meaner and meaner.
Right. It's escalation. Yeah, that's how it is.
And I think you think I'm gonna be mad. Like I told him, he's a Mets fan, I'm a Yankees fan. And when the World Series started, I said, listen, if the Yankees lose this World Series, you have every right to talk trash. I said, I'm just gonna warn you that if you do, I'm going to say things to you that you've never heard another human being say to you.
Right. You give it back.
You're going to think that I'm going to feel bad about it, but I'm not. I'm going to go home that night and I'm going to sleep like a baby.
So,
and I did.
It's people when sports are, it's extremes of emotions because you're so into it. So, when the Cavaliers won Game 7 in 2016, our first championship as a city in 52 years, like the highest of highs as far, and then the Indians went and played the Cubs and I was at Game 7, and a good buddy of mine and I had a huge falling out because I was the Cavs had just won great, but I'm a baseball guy at heart. I got the tribe tat, blah blah blah, all that, but my buddy, we're not friends anymore for other reasons, but decided to really, like you said, but he was like, he was doing it on purpose though, to get under my skin. He was one of those guys. And I lost my cool big time and like lashed out. Like you said some stuff like, and I'm like, I did regret it. I felt bad, but it's like,
especially the Indians, now Guardians. I mean, the 3 World Series that you guys have been in, like in the, since the 90s,
95, 97,
97, and then with
16.
I mean, God damn, those were like, game 7s, heart wrenching. Like, I get it. Listen, I had to watch the Yankees blow an 0-3 lead to Boston.
2004,
right? Which I'm not over. I get very angry about it. I get, and even like this past World Series, the Yankees losing in 5, because I know they were a better team than that. They should have won Game 1.
Yep.
It should have been more of a World Series than what it was. So I still am not over that. And I'll tell you one thing I'm not over, talking about basketball, is the 1994 NBA Finals, the Knicks, when they lost in 7 to the Rockets.
Right.
And John Starks went 2 for 18 in Game 7. I'm not over that. And I'm not over the fact that they should have won that series in 5 or 6, because they were the better team. The Knicks MO has always been, I don't know, they just played down to their opponent.
Mm-hmm.
I think they did that this year too. This is heartbreaking this year too. So I get it with sports. Like I will, like, I get into it. I'm lucky. I've seen like a lot of success with the Yankees. I've seen 5 World Series.
Mm-hmm.
From 96 on to 2009.
Right.
I've seen 4 Super Bowls with the Giants. With 86, 90, and then the 2 against the Patriots.
Right.
I was a little kid when they won the first 2. But I haven't seen, the Islanders when they won the Stanley Cup last was 83, so I was 4.
What about you got the Islanders, and then there's the Rangers.
Yeah, I'm not a Rangers fan. I'm an Islanders fan. So
then isn't there another team up there too? The New Jersey Devils.
New Jersey Devils, yeah. So all these teams have won cups, And so freshman year in high school, the Islanders lost to the Rangers in the first round, but the Rangers and Knicks were in the finals at the same time. So it was kind of cool. Like, the school was like, every day was like buzzing.
Right. I'm sure.
Yeah. I have a bunch of friends who are Ranger fans. So watching them celebrate wasn't fun. But yeah, New York is like, we got a lot of teams. We have, with the baseball, you have the Yankees and the Mets. You have the Giants and the Jets. Knicks and Nets.
Right.
No one thinks the Nets is a New York team though, because they were in New Jersey for so long.
I've heard some rumors or rumblings that they're potentially, they want to expand baseball again and add 2 more teams, and they're saying Nashville and Vegas potentially, or they'll relocate like Tampa or the Marlins, blah blah blah. But I've heard it's gaining steam very slowly, and like I've heard it a few times in the last year that they want to add a 3rd baseball team in New York or in Jersey, right there in the tri-state area.
Really,
I've heard that a few times.
I haven't heard. I have heard about Nashville. That's like a growing market. They want to get like a team in there.
They have a franchise. They just haven't been. They literally have everything except a stadium and a team.
Yeah.
They have every ownership group. It's all put together. They're just waiting for MLB to give them the green light.
And then the A's are eventually going to move to Vegas. I would move the Rays out of somewhere. I'd move the Rays to Nashville. I really
Montreal. I didn't mean to say Vegas. You're 100% correct. The A's are already moving to Vegas. They want to expand
the team. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's, the thing, that they want to put teams in these places that didn't draw, that didn't have
right.
Make no sense. Like,
well, at the time, it's like a brand new shiny thing. And then after 20 years, 10, 15 years later, you see what you really get,
Well, like, like they want to put another hockey team in Atlanta. They talk about expanding the NHL and putting another team in Atlanta again. And I'm like, well, they've tried this 2 times already and it hasn't worked. They don't like hockey.
But that's what I'm saying. They'll big new shiny team, and they'll have the expansion draft, and they'll get some good players and go on a few runs. And then once they go into their first rebuild in 5-7 years, and they're drawing 9,000 a night at a 25,000, blah blah blah. It's like it's crappy. One thing. Go ahead.
Are you a hockey fan? I was going to ask you a hockey fan at all, because I know Cleveland doesn't have a team.
So I am. Cleveland is a big hockey town. We have, I mean, I guess probably every city does, but I grew up with a ton of friends that played hockey. We have the AHL team, the Monsters, and they're perennially really good.
Okay.
And then back when I was a kid, we had another one, which was whatever top tier minor, like AAA minor league hockey, the Lumberjacks. So we're definitely a hockey market. We already have the three other majors, the Columbus Blue Jackets, and then the Red Wings, and then the Pittsburgh Penguins. So like 2 hours to Detroit, 2 hours to Columbus, 2 hours to Pittsburgh. And then Buffalo's only 3 hours with the Sabres. So we have 4 teams that are all 3 hours or less away. But goddamn, I would love to have a hockey team in Cleveland. I'd get behind it day one.
What team do you root for?
So the St. Louis Blues, only because.
Okay.
So I got lucky though. So my fiance, my wife, we've been married for a little less than a year, so that's still on the brain. My wife is from St. Louis, so I moved out there to be with her. And I grew up, Cavaliers, Indians, Browns, never had a hockey team. So we moved out to St. Louis. I lived out there for a little less than a year, 7-8 months, whatever. We went to a Blues game. Everyone's always the Blues because all they have are the Blues and the Cardinals. They had the Rams. They moved. So the Rams, St. Louis actually lost their football team twice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, we're going to rally around Kurt Warner. But they only have the Cardinals and the Blues. So my first year ever being a Blues fan, they won the Stanley Cup, whatever, 5 years ago.
Yeah, great year. Great.
And they were last place in points. On January 30th or whatever it was. They were last place in points and then still came back and beat the Bruins in 7 games, which was awesome.
They fired their coach. They got a new coach in there, and they turned things around. And in the playoffs, they get hot, and you goalie's playing well, and you can make a run. The Islanders made a good run. In 21, they made it. 20 and 21, back-to-back years, they made it to the conference finals. But the second time, they went to 7 against the Lightning, who eventually beat the Canadiens in the Stanley Cup final. And
Florida owns hockey now. It's like the weirdest thing.
It's the craziest thing. But the Islanders, they would have won that game 7. They would have beaten the Canadiens 100%. And that's my Stanley Cup. That's the closest I've gotten to seeing a Stanley Cup as an adult.
Yeah, I think the Blues won one, and I watched a lot of hockey that year, and we watched a lot of Blues since. Not nearly as much as Cavaliers or Indians, but Guardians or whatever you want to call them. It's a whole other story. But I really like it. I think Cleveland, even with all those major teams around it, I mean, you have 3 other major teams. We have the infrastructure for it. I wish they totally would. One thing I wanted to ask you before, and it just reminded me.
Sure.
I have a lot of friends in Chicago. One of my very best friends lives in Chicago. And he's a White Sox fan, so South Side. And I asked him, because I always stay up near Wrigleyville, like right there on the lake, like just south of Wrigleyville. So it's like, I asked him, like, being in Chicago, they've got like 11,000 teams too. Wouldn't you, me personally, Cleveland's a smaller market. I would love nothing more than to have 2 baseball teams, 2 basketball. It's like, to him though, his long story short, his dad worked in local media doing something, and so he got to go to Wrigley Field all the time as a kid and have access to the field. And he said one time he went out in right field and pissed on the ivy or wherever the ivy is, and he was like in 5th grade, and he told all his friends about it and was a legend because they're all Southsiders, so they hate the Cubs. And I'm like, to me though, not that I would like one more, and probably like one more than the other per se, or like, the Tribe will be good. The White Sox will be good for 10 years and the Cubs will be bad. Then it'll flip flop. But like, I would love nothing more than to have 2 teams to root for.
So in theory, yeah, some people like that. I'm a New York fan and I root for New York teams and whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I roll my eyes at that because I don't know, because I have such a hatred for the Mets.
So you break it down for me.
When I was a kid, the Yankees were not good. They were a bad baseball team.
70s and 80s, right?
Well, no, I'm not that old, but no, the late 80s. Late 80s, early 90s. So, I come from when I was really starting to get back, when I really started to watch baseball, like, sitting up with my dad watching it, like at 10 years old. The Yankees had guys like Andy Stankiewicz, Pat Kelly, Matt Noakes. They really didn't have a good team. Like, they were bad. And the Mets were good. The Mets won in '86, and they went to the NLCS in '88, and they were a better team. And the Met fans would just torture me. So I developed a hatred for the Mets as a kid.
Right.
And that just went on. Like Met fans too have like a different mentality. It's like that loser Met fan mentality. My brother actually says that the orange and blue that the Mets wear is loser colors. Like we would go to a bar, and the Bud Light aluminum cans would have the Met logo on it, and he would make the bartender pour it into a glass. He's like, "I'm not drinking Met Lights all night," like that kind of thing. So my brother will not wear orange and blue. He's a Knicks fan, will not wear orange and blue because he says they're associated with loser colors. His favorite college football team, and his favorite college teams is the Florida Gators, orange and blue. He will not wear orange and blue. He does not wear those because he says they're associated with the Mets and they're loser colors.
Huh.
But yeah, no, it's different. It's a rivalry. So it's like, especially Islanders Rangers, they play in the same division. So it's like head to head. It's you pick your team, you go to battle. It's it's more fun for me anyway to have that rivalry where it's like, my team's playing your team. It's, going at it. Like in the Yankees and the Mets played in the World Series in 2000. And that was one of the greatest feelings is watching, the Yankees win the World Series at Shea Stadium.
Was that their third in a row or second in a row?
That was their third in a row. And like watching them celebrate on the Mets field was the best because I know all my Met fan friends were miserable. And so, yeah, I mean, some people like I'm a New York fan. I can watch both. To me, I can't do that. It's kind of like, I pick my team. I go to war. Like, I pick my side. Here it is. And that's it.
I can understand it for sure. Like I can see both sides. I was just more so because he's pretty much my friend Chris, Chicago is pretty much the exact same way, just Sox and Cubs. I sit here saying it must be nice. But then again, at the same time, I'm sure if I was born in LA or even some of the Texas teams, because there's like 3 teams of everything in Texas too. It's like, if you live in the furthest reach of Texas, far away from all 3 teams, you're probably still going to be loyal to Houston versus the Rangers, or
or just think about like a fan base complaining about your team all the time because they're jealous and they say that you buy everything and you buy championships and you buy this and the Yankees. They've been around for so long. That's why they win so many championships. Meanwhile, like now their owner is like spending he bought Juan Soto for $1 billion.
Right.
He
got more money than Ohtani, and he's a one-way player, and he's older, and he doesn't have as much. It's I never thought anyone would top Ohtani 700 whatever million, and they gave Soto more.
Like a bargain. Judge are free. Everybody's like, oh, it's like one guy I know. He goes, oh, it's not fair that Judge doesn't get that money. Well, Judge got the money. Like that was this at the time it was set. I mean, it was
Mike Trout and Harper, Machado, Lindor. They all got 350, 400 million.
Yeah, close to 500 million was the market, and Judge set the market, and then Ohtani blew it open.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying about Ohtani is though. But he's a pitcher though too. You're getting that like
where's he pitch? He hasn't pitched in.
I know he's been hurt, but still, but I'm saying though, it's like you're paying like 20-30% of that is also for his arm. So he's a $500 million guy no matter what. Yeah. But to give Soto more than that, I don't know. I guess it's all subjective. I heard.
Yeah, I got Aaron Judge. So that's all I care about. Aaron Judge is the greatest ball player right now on the planet.
He's also a good guy though too. I went to 2 of the because obviously when the Yankees come to town, we play once here and once there, one series. They're a big draw here. And so I went and we played them early this year too, which I don't like. It's always nice when they come to town. They used to come to town every year, like on July 4th weekend. But I went to game 1 and 3 against the Yankees and had really good seats down low because what I do for blah, blah, blah. So I was real close, and Judge interacts with the kids and signs autographs and like on the on deck circle swinging and someone yells and he turns and tips his cap and waves. And, he's she seems like a really all-around good guy.
He's a class act. He really is. And that's why the Yankees made him the captain. And, I'm glad he stayed. I have a quick question for you to about sports.
Sure.
This is the debate that will go on. And if you're a certain age, you feel one way. And MJ or LeBron?
LeBron. I mean, come on. So he grew up. I live about 12 miles south of Cleveland and about 12 miles north of where he grew up. So I'm like I'm closer to Cleveland. I'm like 15 minutes from downtown Cleveland and like 25 minutes from Akron.
I saw the stealth camp he did by his house. It was pretty funny.
Literally 100 yards or less. I couldn't have gotten any closer.
Great.
I could have. I would have went to jail, or gotten something. That actually I found out is a secret access for service. Blah blah blah. Like they cleared that right of way specifically for use of his house for security and police and presence and whatever. But I grew up. He just turned 40. I'm 35, so he's 6 years older than me. So as he's making his way up, freshman year, started getting a little notoriety. Sophomore year, then once he started, after his sophomore year, because they won freshman, sophomore, and then senior year, he won the state championship. Or they lost junior year. So his name's around. He would come to the city where I live to do practices and clinics and stuff. And when they played our high school team, I mean, there was like 3,000 people at our high school gym to watch, blah, blah, blah. So I'm literally, since he got drafted, 03, 04 was his first year, I think.
I think so, yeah.
It was 02, 03 or 03, 04. I think 03, 04. I've literally, from the time I was 10 years old, followed him from literally being in high school as like a young person, though, not like, up through even, today. I didn't get to watch Jordan live much, I guess, but championships, Jordan, killer instinct, Jordan. But I just think the longevity, the freak athlete. I mean, LeBron, I know he's played for a long, long time, but even before he hit year 15, 16, he was going to be number one in points, assists. He's going to finish top 10 in rebounds. He's, Jordan probably played more defense. Well, he won Defensive Player of the Year how many times?
Well, plus the physicality of the basketball of the NBA in the 80s and 90s. It was not. I mean, I'm just saying they got their asses kicked. I mean,
they did. Bill Laimbeer, you watched that Bad Boys documentary?
Yeah,
I watch it like 3 times a year.
The Knicks are very physical. I mean, those Bulls Knicks games in the 90s, like this is why I say Jordan's the greatest of all time. The man broke my heart every year.
Right. Well, he broke ours too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I watched him do incredible things, like things I've never seen. Just like he takes over games, and like you watch The Last Dance and you hear his mentality. LeBron said, like, I don't take anything away from LeBron. He's a phenomenal athlete, and I think he's one of the top 5 best players of all time.
Right.
I think he cries a lot and he's a flopper, and some of those things that
I don't like it either. I don't.
That if
I'm not I'm not going to sit here and defend everything he does. Just like it's.
And I think LeBron messed it up for himself, because I think if he's never left Cleveland,
100%, he would have had at least one more championship.
Well, even if he won that one championship, that's all he won. He would be the debate would be a lot closer, because he took that team from nothing and made it into a championship. Stayed with them. I think the thing on him is that Jordan never had to chase a title.
Right.
He took 2 separate teams to the teams were kind of different by the time they won the titles. So he won 2 3-peats. I don't doubt the fact that if he didn't retire, they win those 2 championships, because
at least one of them, no doubt about it. 100%.
One of them, because the Rockets, Kenny Smith likes to talk about the Rockets like they were world beaters. You didn't really you beat the Knicks, but the Knicks beat themselves,
and then they beat
a very, very young Magic team.
I was going to say, it was Orlando, wasn't it? Right.
Yeah. So you beat a very young Magic team. That beat a very experienced Pacers team. I think that Pacers team should have, probably would have given them a better run for their money.
Was that 90? It was 94 and 5, right?
Yeah,
when he took off. He came back halfway through 95, I think.
Came halfway back through 90. So yeah, he left in 93
and then came back
halfway through 95.
Right. Okay. That's what it was.
And that was that whole thing where Nick Anderson on the Magic said that 45 ain't 23.
Right. And he, of course, what was he wearing the next day?
And then he wore the next game and lit him up.
Right.
And that was Jordan, though. That was like, he was a different animal.
It's hard for me to reconcile, because I'm not going to sit here and say Jordan isn't top 3. I'm not going to sit here and say LeBron isn't top 3. But then, and I'm not going to be like, well, if you're talking championships, Robert Horry and, who else won more than 6? It was like whatever 15 guys. Showtime Lakers, all those other Magic and
Well, Magic and Bird brought the NBA back into like prominence.
Right. I'm trying to think. I had a point I was going to make, and I forgot what I was going to say.
Well, Bill Russell won. Like
Bill, what I was thinking, Bill Russell. And he just died too, didn't he? A few months ago. But how do you? So if you're talking like you said, and we all acknowledge, like Bill Laimbeer will punch you in the face while you're shooting a free throw and not even get ejected. Now, like you come down on someone's arm too hard and it flagrant one. So how do you relegate that to equality as far as putting people on the pedestals? So it's like the people that like whether you were a Bulls fan or a Knicks fan, you watched more Michael Jordan games than anyone born after 1998, 99, whatever. Yeah. I have some memories of Jordan playing, but like I was still a Cavs fan. But long story short, his run was over. The first years I was able to watch basketball, but I've literally from the night we drew. Well, no, like I said, I've been LeBron since high school. But once we got the ping pong ball, and then literally 23 years now, I don't root for the Lakers, and I didn't root for the Heat. I was mad when he was on the Heat, but still follow everything about the guy.
100%. It's a fun debate, and it's funny because my nephew Luke is more old school, I guess, in the way he thinks. He thinks Jordan's the goat.
Did you ever see the video of me that went viral when he was just back in town with the Lakers?
Yeah,
that's hilarious. Okay. Yeah, and I'm tipping my cap and all.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Did he say anything to you when I couldn't I didn't know if he said anything to you?
No, I mean, it sounds really, really flambe. Maybe I'm a flambe. It sounds really flambe, but I mean, we made eye contact. So whatever. LeBron has put his eyes on me probably multiple times. I've seen him live a lot. But
I totally understand, because if I met Don Mattingly, who was my favorite baseball player growing up, I would be the same way. I would he made eye contact with me. I looked at Don Mattingly's eyes.
Right. I mean,
Mattingly's eyes met me.
He saw me. So, I mean, that's good enough.
There's certain players that if I would meet, it would definitely be it'd be an amazing experience.
I think, what is the equation for 23 years of LeBron versus, Jordan and all his accolades? But again, how do you, Kobe, Magic, Burr, I don't know. I could name 25 players and it'd be around about top 20, 25, somewhere in there. But
yeah, no, it's a lot. It's a fun topic. I've seen Kobe live. I've only seen him play once live.
Same. I think once, maybe twice, but once for sure.
I went to a Knicks Lakers game and the Knicks were up over almost 20 at half and Kobe came out in the second. And I've never seen somebody take over a game like this before. He was a killer. Right. And that's why I put Jordan 1 and Kobe 2. Is because Kobe was a killer like Jordan was.
He was, but I've seen LeBron take over the game though too. And even when he's scoring though, he's also creating opportunities, creating shots, dishing, no look passes. If you're averaging 30 a game and 8 or 9 assists, just because he's not scoring those 8 or 9 assists, even if they're all 2-pointers, he's still worth another 20 points a game. If half of them are 3-pointers, he's worth close to 4. You know what I'm trying to say? It's like.
Absolutely, and I think it's
rebounding. It's like,
and there'll be a guy probably that's going to come around in 5 years that will be like, hey, he's better than LeBron.
Maybe there's got to be a new generation.
That's what's fun. That's what's fun about sports is that we talk about that who's the greatest of all time, and you have all these discussions. That's why I love sports so much because the conversations just everyone's got their opinion, and it's fun.
Is Ohtani, in my opinion, as long as his career pans out and hopefully he pitches again, is Ohtani the best baseball player of all time?
No.
You don't think so?
He's not even the best baseball player now.
You don't? Aaron Judge?
100% Aaron Judge. And here's the reason. Listen, I'm not taking anything away from Ohtani. It's an amazing feat, but there's a reason why guys don't pitch and play in the hit because it's long term. Something's going to break down. It's just too much torque on. I mean, he already had Tommy John surgery. It's too much torque on your body.
Hasn't he had it twice? Correct me if I'm wrong. Did he?
Might have.
I know he's had it once.
Yeah, he just hasn't pitched yet. He's still in batting practice. I don't think he's gonna. I wouldn't pitch him. I mean, if I was the Dodgers, he's just too good of a hitter, and not. He's a DH. Judge plays the field, and just what Judge does, his average, all of his numbers are just they're all above Otani's. I mean, it's just so that's why I don't think he'd be the greatest of all time, because he's not even the greatest right now,
right?
In his in his era.
Would you put like Mike Trout above him?
Otani,
Mm-hmm.
prime Mike Trout, yeah, I would.
If he never got hurt, I think Trout is the greatest of all time.
Up there. It's a shame that he was on those Angels teams that did nothing.
It's a shame he still is, man. He hasn't. I mean, talk about loyalty to a fault. That is one of the great wastes of any career anywhere, even with the injuries.
To me, the greatest baseball player that I've ever seen, just my lifetime, is Ken Griffey Jr.
Yeah, I'd say probably McGuire, Sosa, Bonds, but I think overall defensively,
I think
so. I don't know. I really loved Manny Ramirez though too. I know. I mean, you're a New York guy, so
I hate with a passion the Boston Red Sox.
And
Red Sox fans. I called bars after in Boston after 2003. Maybe that was the karma. That's why they lost in 2004. But I would call bars in Boston and just like ask them who's their daddy, and like, what? I'm like, the Yankees are your daddy, you cocksucker. And then they'd like and they'd hang up the phone I'd ask if Pedro was there, and they're like, Pedro? I'm like, yeah, Pedro. It's the Yankees. Where his daddy wanted to come home. It's time for him to come home.
Right.
That kind of thing. And so yeah, I that team I hate with the Pat probably more than any other team is the Boston Red Sox.
Well, I guess if you ever make it big as a comic, you're never going to do late night on Jimmy Fallon's show.
I'll do it with Jimmy Fallon. I want to ask him as a Yankee fan why you doing Fever Pitch.
Right. I don't actually know if he's a Red Sox fan or if he was just in Fever Pitch.
He's a Yankees fan.
Jimmy Fallon is?
Yeah.
Okay. See, I didn't know. But so why was he in Fever Pitch then? I'm the kind of guy. Go ahead.
I paid a lot of money.
I guess you're right. I'm the type of guy that I would never put on a Yankee hat or put on a Cubs shirt or whatever. That's why I'm not answering the Sopranos question about the women, but long time ago as well. I don't want to be disrespectful to my wife. Like I have an opinion, obviously, but I'm a stand-up guy. I try to be. Beansy was also a stand-up guy.
He was.
Old Ironsides. But I had a girlfriend back in the day. It wasn't just like a little fling thing, but she was just one of those, would wear like back when flat brim hats and like skater chicks and all that were like the style. And she had a flat brim Yankee hat and she left it at my house. And I found it the one night, like on my dresser, where it was like in the lawn, whatever, somewhere over that way. And I told her, I'm like, you need to pick this up. Blah, blah. She left it at my house. I told her, I'm throwing this thing in the trash. Blah, blah, blah. A week goes by. She comes over, forgets it there again. I'm like, I told her I'm throwing this thing in the trash. And I literally threw it in the trash. And of course, no later than I throw it in the trash, whatever the next two times she comes over, she remembers it. I told her I threw it in the trash and, didn't go over so well. But it was like, it wasn't even like, it was not like a traditional hat like we're wearing. I know you got the American style, but I mean,
a couple of years ago, this was the
right. Well, the new ones all look like that too for 4th of July, but
yeah, that's where I got the 4th of July hat a couple of years ago.
It was like a baby blue with like a green bill with like the New York was like the same NY script, but it was like orange and it was like, Fugazi weird $50, not even, you go to Lids at the mall and spend $50 on a stupid looking Yankees hat. Like I think
a girl I was dating, she came out of the house in a Red Sox shirt once. I'm like, you gotta go up and change.
Right.
She's like, what? I'm like, you can't wear that shirt. She goes, my brother's. I'm like, I don't care whose it is. I said, but you're not getting in this car with that shirt on. And I made it.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's like a matter of principle. I don't know. I couldn't bring myself to do it.
No, I understand. Like, and the Yankees and Guardians or Indians have had their battles in the playoffs and just recently last year in the ALCS. So I love the movie Major League.
Love it. Yeah.
So like I respect that franchise a lot. But I couldn't wear. My brother actually wore when they changed the name to the Guardians. He bought an Indians hat. And he was
I
wearing it.
respect it. I still got mine.
Yeah, but I couldn't. I was like, I want to do it, but I can't do it.
Wearing mine right now.
There you go.
They you guys have, just like you said about the Dodgers. I think the Dodgers were the better team, but like you said, you guys should have played more to your opponent.
Yeah.
I think the Tribe was the same way against you guys. We just collapsed.
I think you guys could have beat us last year. We didn't. We were a team with a lot of holes.
So were we. I think we played over our heads, but I think the Yankees were the better team, flat out. I think the Dodgers were also.
I was nervous going into that series, though. I'll tell you the truth, because the year before you took us to 5 in the division series.
Yeah, you guys have eliminated us the last 4 times we've made the playoffs. So the last 4 times the Tribe made it. I think it was 18, 20, 22, and 24. Yeah, the last 4 times. Yeah. And then previous to that, we lost to the cheating Astros, and the year before that, we lost to the Cubs in the World Series. Yeah, we had a lot of success, but some bad runs. Yeah,
and like I said, three of the most fantastic World Series to watch. I know it didn't go your way, but it's listen. Like I said, I respect that. I respect that franchise a lot. It's an old school baseball franchise. Like
1901, yeah, they've been around.
Yeah, so I'm like
franchises.
I'm a big like sports history guy. Like I like teams that have been around forever. Like like in the history of the teams and stuff like that. Like it's got real history. Like, that's how baseball started. It was through these teams. The Yankees came around in 1903. You have all the the Red Sox and the Cubs and these teams, the Reds.
Have you been to Fenway or Wrigley or any other ballparks?
I haven't been to Fenway. Eventually one day, cool. I want to go, like, Yankees, Red Sox. I've been to a ton of Yankee Red Sox games at the stadium, especially the old stadium. I might have chased Red Sox fans out of the bleachers, but
they were some of the most, I'll say, Toronto fans, and I make it to a lot of games every year.
Yeah,
Toronto fans are the worst because they travel, because there's no like team regional to them, so they all travel. There's always fans from other teams at the games, but Toronto fans were the most vile and the drunkest for sure. Boston fans are, people say a lot about the Yankees fans, but you guys all just say, like, the Yankees fans, they'll talk some crap, but only if people talk crap to them. They're not the ones starting stuff. Yeah, and all they ever say is 27 championships. 27 championships, not since 09. Well, we still got 27 championships.
We got 27 over here.
Right.
So what happened was, I went to game 2, actually, the second game of the 05 season, the year after they lost to Boston in 7 when they blew the 3-0 lead.
I think the White Sox won that year, didn't they? 2005.
Oh, 2005. The Reds, yeah. So I'm in the bleachers, right field bleachers, and me and my friend, we walk in.
Was that at the new stadium, or when did the new stadium open?
That was 2009, actually.
9, okay.
So this was back in the old stadium. I walk into the bleachers, we're walking up, and my friend goes, "Where are we sitting?" And I look up and I see these 2 guys in Red Sox jerseys. I go, "Our luck, right behind those guys." And sure as shit, that's where we're sitting. And the whole game, they were talking trash to me. They were just running their mouths.
Right.
And Rivera actually gave up a home run to Veritek to tie the game in the 9th. And they're just running their mouth. And Jeter comes up in the bottom of the 10th and hits a walk-off home run right to right field. As the ball's coming to right field, I go, "Both these, get the F up and get out of my stadium." Both. And they were like, "What?" I'm like, "Get out of my stadium. Get out of my stadium." And I just chased after them and they ran away. But yeah, I loved sitting with the bleacher creatures in the old stadium. There was nothing like it.
Right.
New stadium's great. I like the new stadium. A lot of people hate on it, but I think it's a great place to watch a ball game. And it's Yankee Stadium, so I'm very biased. But that old stadium, when it was rocking, you felt it moving, and it was electric.
What is the reason versus like a Wrigley or Fenway that they make upgrades to keep it as it is? But why would they build? Because it's essentially, I've been by the new stadium. It's essentially, isn't it like 10 feet left to where the old one was? Like,
yeah, so it's
so why wouldn't they just keep the old one?
They had renovated already in the 70s. They did a whole makeover. It wasn't it didn't even look like the original stadium, really. It was just falling apart. It was just too much had to be done to it, and the boss wanted the old man wanted his luxury boxes, and he wanted a new stadium.
Right.
The old man was not shy in talking about wanting a new stadium, and he got it. And a fun fact about that is both times the Yankees, the first year in their new stadiums, they have won World Series, 23 and in 09.
Right.
So yeah, that was why he wanted his luxury boxes. He wanted all those things, the the amenities and everything. And it does feel, now it's been, since 09, so it does feel like home. But it was weird the first time I was there. It was like, it looked like, because it looks a lot like the old stadium in sense.
Right.
But it's just, I was there for 99 ALCS game 2. I was in the last row behind
Seattle. You're playing Seattle?
Boston.
Oh, 99?
99, yeah.
Okay.
So that stadium was, it was shaking. Like
Right.
it was just, like, it was insane. It was nothing like it. I've been to a bunch of games, the old stadium, and nothing compares to those. But I like the new stadium too. It's just not the old one. And I think maybe if they never renovated it in the 70s and kind of like gave it the facelift they gave it, and it looked like the original Yankee Stadium, because like think about Wrigley and Fenway, they haven't changed. It's still the same stadium. So if the Yankee Stadium, they made a lot of modifications to it in the 70s, where it wasn't the same stadium that, like, it didn't look like the one that Babe Ruth played in, and Joe DiMaggio and Mickey Mantle and those guys.
We got 2 new stadiums. They both opened at the same time in 94 for the Cavs and for the Tribe. So ours is, I think, last year was the 30th anniversary, but about 10 years ago, they did 3 phases of renos, and then the syntax, like the gas and tobacco and alcohol funded phase. They just finished phase 2. It'll be done this year. And they're still doing stuff as we're playing, and because they fell behind schedule because we had a really bad winter. Which is, I don't know, neither here nor there, but so I definitely understand what you're saying with it's the same stadium, but they put in all the seats were like green like this.
Yeah.
And now all the seats are navy blue. They changed the outfield seat. You'd have to see it and know I could describe all the details, but it's like
some of the renovation. It looks good. Like,
it does.
It does. Done a good job with it.
Now that it's, when they did the first round and like it was like 2014, 15, 16, and then they said we're going to finish in 8 or 10 years once the tax revenue kicks in or all that stupid crap. It's like they did it and brought a lot of it to life, but it was super drab, and like, it's not done because they're saying it's going to be 2 phases over 10 years, whatever. Because and now that it's like on the 1 yard line, like it is really, really nice because it's the same joint. 30 years of history. It's not a lot, but 30 years of history in the grand scheme of 125 years. But it's like, I kind of like that because now the Browns are actually about to build a brand new dome. They're moving from Cleveland to the suburbs.
Oh, really?
It's the biggest hot button issue in Cleveland history. And everyone's like, they're moving like, you have to with all the story. We don't have a dome. We're on the lakefront. The stadium's only since 99, so 25 years, but it's falling apart.
I get it.
They want $2 billion to renovate it, or a new dome that's going to cost $2.6 billion, so we can host a Super Bowl and concerts year round. We don't have a dome, and we're a winter weather city. So they're like, why would we spend $2 billion to renovate a stadium, and that doesn't include a retractable roof?
You're going to have so much. You're going to have not only just Super Bowl. You're going to have
NCAA. Yeah.
You can use it. You're going to have. It's going to be insane.
They can do right now. It gets used like 30 nights a year, probably 20 to 30 nights a year, versus something that can be used literally 365 days a year.
Well, that was the big issue when the Giants built the new stadium. They spent $1 billion on a concrete nothing.
Is that Meadowlands or whatever?
Yeah. So the MetLife Stadium is disgusting. It's gross. It's just it looks like it just looks like a metal just box. It's not. They should have put a. There's no reason they didn't put a retractable roof on that thing, because New York would have the Super Bowl every 5 years.
Right.
Every 5 years they come here. They gave them the Super Bowl the first year it opened in February, and like by chance it was like it wasn't cold. It was like actually an easy night.
Right.
But February here could be brutal. It could be 10 degrees. It could be snowing.
That had to be a backdoor thing, though, because they never give them to the cold weather cities. That's what they're saying. It's never happened in Cleveland in 50 plus years, you know?
Yeah, so it was the new stadium, and they gave him a Super Bowl, and but like, yeah, I mean, the fact they didn't put a retractable roof on that thing is an absolute shame, because you'd have had the NCAA, you would have had Super Bowls, you'd have had all these events that could have taken place here, but
yeah, the Rolling Stones can play in January versus, you know, like the 4th of July.
Yeah, you know, it's nice when the Rolling Stones come in January, because, you know, Mick's happy after the Christmas cheer, and, you know,
all the all the
all the New Year's, you know, fun that goes with it. But yeah, it's insane, you know. But is there going to be a stealth camp at the Jake?
No. I would really like to, but my job, we have a lot of relationships.
Okay.
So with the Browns and with the Cavs and the Tribe, we do a lot of work without giving too much away with all three sports teams and all the arenas, include blah, 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 concerts, all the games. So I don't want to get too much into it, but I could, but the risk of business and pleasure, it's like, what did Tony say when Tony said to
you don't shit where you eat.
to Marazuka's wife?
Where I eat.
Well, when he said it to Marazuka's wife at the cave, something blah blah Merida, and he said, "I don't shit where I eat." You know, it's bad for business. You know.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much, you know, the stadium is Marazuka's wife. Annalisa is her name. Annalisa. It took me a second. I couldn't do it because the risk of backlash. Like, I'd rather stealth camp at Walmart and get arrested and pay $500 bail and do community service than
have your job and be able to support yourself. I get it. I
you know.
Get it. Yeah.
I did. The Brown Stadium is right on the water, and so I did do it at the Brown Stadium on my bass boat, 10 feet from the shore, which is the parking lot of the stadium. But I really want it's up there, but I'm basically, it's just still a stealth camp at the stadium, but I'm on my boat, so it's kind of like I really could.
So when YouTube becomes full time, I think the celebration has to be a stealth camp at the Jake. That'll be.
So the problem with that also is that I have access to the stadium, like you know.
Let's just say right now you have a little over 20,000 subscribers, which is absolutely amazing.
Appreciate
and hopefully after this podcast is released, you have 3 more.
Hopefully you'll have 3 more too.
Yeah. So
I appreciate it. Though.
You get to the point where you can do YouTube full. Will they take that away from you? That access?
It's a loaded question. It's a multi-pronged question, and I'm not dodging the question. So
because you're the most famous person at your place, they'll be like, "Oh no, you have access for life. This is where you come. Have all these sausage and peppers at the stadium."
They do have great sausage because Cleveland's a big melting pot too. Where you got Polish people, so you got kielbasas. You ever had all sausages? I thought the only sausages was Italian and Jimmy Dean. But so we got great Italian sauce at the stadium too. But to answer your question directly, I mean, if I hit 100,000 subscribers, I'll camp at the stadium. Sure, why not?
Okay, there we go. That's I just wanted to hear you say it.
You heard it here first.
Heard it here first on the Keep Moving Forward podcast.
I think about it all the time because I do this and I've been grinding, and I would like it to pay my bills full time, like without having to get up and go to work every day.
Know that, man.
But I do okay for myself. I'm not rich. I'm solidly middle class. Like, as you know, like whatever the equivalent of 2 cars in the driveway and a house full of appliances and 2 vacations a year was in 1963. Like, that's what I am now. So I'm okay with that. That's a lot more than a lot of people. I've been very blessed.
And you're still doing things you love. You're out there making your videos. And tell everybody where they could find you. The Northwest Wind is on YouTube. That's the name of the channel. Anything else you want to plug, websites or anything?
Just new videos every Thursday at 6. God willing, I'll let that continue as long as I possibly can. So yeah, Northwest Wind YouTube, Northwest Wind on Instagram. I'm not really anywhere else. Just on the mental health note, I say it in every video, or as many videos, 90% of the videos. If you need someone to talk to, you need resources, a friend, someone to vent to, someone who's been in your shoes, whether that's depression, anxiety, panic, trauma, abuse, PTSD, substance abuse, I'm happy to help you out. Reach out on my Instagram or at the Northwest Winds with an S at gmail.com. And I respond to every comment, every person. It's probably how you and I became acquainted a few weeks ago, a month ago, because I respond to everybody. So
I watching you, like I said, I watched you go through a couple of rough, maybe was it a month or so, but it was a rough time, man. And like, I said, I watched your videos became part of my routine. Thursdays, I watched your videos. I have, Tuesdays was Jack, and I think Kevin from Small Plots puts a video out on Tuesday too, then Sam Bananas. And I was watching you guys, and then like, I saw these videos coming out, and yeah, I was like, like I said, I felt my heart went out to you, man, because I know what it is to feel that way sometimes, and it's not a good feeling. But you still put a video out every week. You did, you even said it, I'm going to keep putting these videos out. And then like, it was great seeing you back out camping again. Like you actually and you said like you pushed yourself to do it. And it seemed, again, like it seems like you're doing better. And I hope that's the case.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah, one day at a time, just like anything. How are you doing with all of it? And how does it affect, I know you said your comedy is one of your passions and whatnot, but what is keeping you from getting back up on stage? And what are your plans? I know you're interviewing me per se, but a lot of my people will watch this. So why don't you give us a couple seconds of you?
Yeah.
If you don't mind, I hate to put you on the spot. But.
No, well, I'm happy to talk about it. I go through my ups and downs. I'm coming up on a tough month. July will be very tough for me. My mom passed away in 2008.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Her birthday was July 7th, and the day she passed away was July 21st. So that whole month, that's all I think about, and it gets me depressed and upset. And some years it's awesome. Like I could get through it. Like I use it to my advantage, and then like power through it. And it's like I feel empowered because I get through it. And some years it's not so good, and then but like it doesn't affect like me doing comedy or anything. Comedy I kind of got burnt out doing coming out of the pandemic, and maybe one day again like I'll have that passion. But like I like to create, or I like to create reels, and I'm starting to do YouTube videos. And of course I'll gravitate towards things 5 years after the trend starts.
Works, right?
Yeah. Podcasting. I've been doing some form of radio podcast for 20 years. It's my first love, and I always enjoy this platform and medium. But comedy today, the way it doesn't really reward people who are funny. It's TikTok, influencers, and doing these things, and so that kind of thing discouraged me. But as far as like my dealing with like my emotions, I just sometimes have to just take a moment and just be like, as bad as I think things are,
right?
Okay, I got a roof over my head. I got a good job. I got a great family, amazing family and friends. Very lucky in that aspect. My dad is like all time. Like I go to him with I can go to him with anything. My brother and sister-in-law keep me on my toes. We're ball breakers by just nature.
That's how it goes. That's their job.
Yeah. So like funny story is, and my sister-in-law, believe me, we've had serious conversations. Has my back 1,000,000%. She's like my sister. I had a bad panic attack at work one day. It was actually my niece's second birthday. So they said after I was okay. The ambulance came. I thought all of a sudden I said to my office man, I can't breathe. Because it was coming up, and so they called the ambulance, and they were like, "Your blood pressure is 110/70, and you're mid panic attack. You're okay." And they kind of calmed me down. And I was just a little jittery afterwards. So they sent me home to work. It was a Friday. It was my niece's second birthday. So I go home, just relaxing. My sister-in-law texts me. She goes, "When you're done being a vagina, you're gonna come over for your niece's birthday." And that kind of just like snapped me back into like I laughed, and I was like, okay, let me get back to and then seeing my niece and my my family, and my dad was there and everything, like and telling the story about everything that happened that day. to me, that's what my favorite part of comedy is, that I could take something that at the time is a horrible situation.
That's comedy's the best for that. Yeah,
Yeah, and to make it funny, because like, you know, the 2 times I had serious panic attacks is when things were going on with my dad. He went for a physical. He was having no symptoms, nothing, and they found that his valve was leaking, so he had to have open heart surgery.
Okay, well, at least they found it.
Yeah, they found it very early, and like I said, they were able to repair it. So unlike a valve replacement, he's good. Like that's it. He's good. And my dad by trade was an X-ray tech, MRI tech, and all that. And
it's a good gig, huh?
Yeah. So he was at where he worked at the time. Now he's retired, but when he was working, and they got a new MRI machine, and he was one of the only guys in the office. And the doctor said, "Tony, I want to just do a practice prostate scan." And when they did that, the doctor said, I found something. It's small, but they found prostate cancer very early. And they were able to knock it out with no chemo, just radiation.
I'm not to interrupt your story, but he's like lucky as shit.
Yeah, I absolutely think
both of those.
I'm one of those people that believe my mother's his guardian angel, and she
yeah.
definitely finds ways to get him. Like, you know, like he joked around when he retired. He goes, "My only job now is to stay alive." I'm like, "Yeah,
right.
left. You can't, like, you know." So like whenever we joke around, like whenever he talks about, like, you know, oh, I got like 10 really good years left, and like Trudy, my sister-in-law, was like, "Pop, you want to get a call at 5 o'clock that Anthony can't breathe?" Like, you know, just you know, calm down. Like, you can't say that in front of him. Well, yeah. So like the 2 major ones that I had, I mean, I've had him other ones, but like that kind of stuff where I thought I was going to go to the hospital was, you know, brought on by like things that were happening to my dad and stuff. So my family is definitely, you know, a big thing for me.
Right.
You know, if they're doing good and they're all right, I could take comfort in, like, you know, I'll be okay too. So that's what kind of gets me through tough times. Like just going, hanging out with my nephews and my niece, even though now they're getting older and too cool for school. And
they'll come back to you though. Yeah, for sure. That's how it works.
Will, because I, you know, like, you know, it was so like I had a couple weeks ago. I talked about it last week's podcast. I had a tough night. We were at the cigar lounge, and after it closed, the manager, me, and one of my friends, were just talking. And I don't know how it came up, but like we started talking about like relationships, and I talked about 2 of the relationships in my life that caused me the most trauma, you know, that really affected me the most. And not that I don't pine for these people. I am glad that they're out of my life.
That's the best part, is retrospect, right?
Yeah, but it's still like it's almost like I had like aftershock effects, and I woke up like a little mushad the next day, and just wasn't feeling it. Like I was just feeling a little down. And my nephew Luke, who is going to be 12, and he is just way too cool for school. Like hanging on Uncle Cheese is not cool anymore.
Uncle Cheese, did you say?
That's what they call me, Uncle Cheese. Yeah, that's.
Oh, Roger. Okay, that's sweet.
Yeah, that's my nephews call me Uncle Cheese. My nephews and my niece call me Uncle Cheese.
I'm calling you Uncle Cheese from now on.
You can call me Uncle Cheese. Everybody, you know, it's all their friends do. So like, he let me like give him a hug, and then like he was kind of sitting like on the arm of the chair and on my lap, and then my nephew Rocco climbed on top of me, and my nephew Lydia did too. And it's almost like they knew that I needed that. And
right.
like I felt like I was healed. I felt better. I left the house like, oh, I needed that. Like, and we took a picture, and I did like a side by side, like from like 2018 to now, like the kids, and like, you know, because they used to always like fight who was gonna, like, you know, sit on my shoulders while I was sitting down, or like, you know, lay across my head. Like it was always like a fight. Like, and now it's like they, you know, they're older, and I get it because I was that age, and I remember, like, you know, but they come back.
Yeah, when they're, you know, you'll be whatever 67 and they'll be 26 and they'll want to come watch a Yankee game and get a beer with you, all that good stuff.
Yeah,
you know,
and sure. I can't wait for that. Like, that'll be awesome. But like, it's almost like they needed it. So that's what kind of gets me through it. And I'll be honest, your guys' videos can, like, the reason I watch these camping videos is because they relax me. If I'm feeling anxiety, it's soothing. It's like, you know, it's out in nature. It's peaceful. Like you guys, you know, like yours makes me laugh.
I appreciate it.
I try. All have different like things. Like Luke, the Outdoor Boys, it was the first one I got to. Like, he's just very calming, and like he explains things, and and I found these other ones, and it's just it relaxes me. And if I'm having a high anxiety day, I'll go to my cigar lounge. I'll get a nice cigar, cup of coffee, and I put on a video and my headphones on, and I'm in a different world.
There you go. You mentioned Steve? Do you watch Steve Wallace?
Yes. So Steve was like the second one it popped up in the algorithm.
Because you talk about relaxing and just being able to get in the zone. You know, I try to do 20-minute minimum, but if my videos can be longer while still being in, like, I'm not going to make a 45-minute video unless it can be interesting for 45 minutes. So they're normally 20 to 28 minutes, but I wish Steve's videos would be longer on that note, because I could watch a 2-hour Steve Wallace video or a 22-minute. They're always, his videos are always like 22 minutes long.
He's one of those guys I could watch him reading the dictionary. Like Steve is just like and what got me with him, he's just like a down to earth guy. Like, and he was like, because I was watching so much of Luke, because that's who I got into first. Like, Luke's like bushcraft, and he's like making fires with like the flint and steel, and like everything he does is like, you know, he makes his own tools. And Steve's got, he's just like a bunch of wood, and he comes out with a blowtorch and goes, and it's just like and then Crazy Neighbor, you know, when he was in the videos too, that, you know, that was
this is Batman and Robin.
Yeah, it was kind of like two guys, and I watched this new video that he did with Greg Ovens, which was really good.
I'd never heard of Greg until that, but I dabbled in him a little bit, and he's definitely a character all his own for sure.
Yeah, so Greg kind of came across my Facebook feed, like Facebook Reels would suggest like his videos, and at first I thought it was like a homeless person, like just like, you know, but then like watching his stuff, now he knows his stuff. He's like, it was funny because in the new video, like his dog is like barking at the bush, and he's like, "Oh, it's probably a bear," but you know, he'll bark and the bear will run away, and you know, I like being near the bush, and the bear comes out, I could see it, you know.
Well, that's what he said. Steve's like trying to sleep in his car. It's like 2 PM or whatever, and Steve's already planning on sleeping in his car to stay away from the bear.
Yeah,
and Greg sets up his hammock, and it's one of those things like that. It's so obvious you don't realize it. Like, I'll sleep on the ground or in a hammock or in the woods or by a creek or whatever. But you don't think about it. You're just afraid of a bear. But it's a good point. Like, if you're sleeping in the middle of an open field and a bear comes out there, you're not going to hear it coming. But if you sleep right on the edge of the woods and a bear's even slowly walking up on it, you're going to hear that.
Yeah. So it'll let me know way before. He's just the way he said it was just very calming.
That's a good piece of advice. And, you know, I've slept in the woods, especially when I was a camper at the camp, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, whatever. You know, it's 7 weeks. So I'm, you know, hundreds of nights I slept in the woods, including all this crap I've been doing the last, 10, 15 years, 15, 16 years. You know, I still get, I don't know if I would say spooked per se, but high alert.
Yeah, I have to.
And anything in the woods at night that's loud, anything that's loud is small. And if it makes perfect sense, a raccoon or a squirrel or a deer, they're just looking for food or little plants, or they're just scampering around. They have no self-awareness of making noise because they're not worried about making noise. They're just going A to B or hunting, or any kind of predator is going to be stealthy. Like, why would a bear that's looking to get, you know, bears eat a lot of berries and vegetables and stuff too, but why would a bear that's looking to hunt an animal, or why would like a cheetah or like a wolf or something that's trying to get some red meat per se, why would they be scaring stuff that they're trying to go eat? You know what I'm saying? So anything, 9 times out of 10, anything you hear making noise is, you know, probably it's either a deer or it's very small.
Okay.
So when you're out there on Long Island with all those, you know, grizzly bears and, you know,
rabbit. We do have coyotes now on Long Island, so that's the coyote population is growing. That's what they've been posting about here.
Yeah, they're just like rats, basically. They're just big versions of rats.
So I'm not really worried about it. But no, where the place I'm going, it looks nice. It's the Peconic River Campgrounds on the towards the North Fork of Long Island. So that'll be more of a late fall kind of thing I'm gonna do.
You gonna go solo with a bunch of buddies, or?
I'm gonna do solo because I want to try to do a video.
Hell yeah, that'd be cool.
And they got like the old school fire rings. They don't have like a fire pit. So I want to try to like attempt to cook on the coals and do all that kind of stuff that I've watching these videos and I don't know how to do it, and it's going to be trial by error. So either I'm eating a nice steak and potato, or I'm going to be eating cheese and crackers for dinner. So it's going to be either or. We're going to plan for both.
You just bring a bunch of Pop-Tarts and yeah, I think
Yeah,
you'll enjoy it. Either you'll want to do it again, or either you'll want to do it again immediately, or you'll be like, I could do this once a year, or you'll be like, I'm never doing this again.
Yeah, so that's the kind of thing. It's like a bucket list type of thing. Like just watching these videos, it gives me every time I watch, I'm like, I want to go camping because it looks like it's a lot of fun. And to me, that's the kind of relaxing I like to do, is just like hanging out outside, like I go to my brother's house and he's got the solo stove, so we put a fire on, we're hanging out. I'm a cigar guy, so I'll have a cigar, and it's relaxing and I enjoy it. And I guess if setting up a tent and things like that, like that's the thing too. Like I'm gonna get like a cabin tent, so I can put an air mattress in there.
Yeah, set yourself up. Set yourself up for
Be as
sure.
bougie as possible with that,
Yeah,
because
especially your first time, you make yourself as comfortable as possible for sure.
yeah. So like I'm old, and I want to make sure the back doesn't hurt the next day, and I want to be as comfortable as possible. I want to like just show like things I've learned, and and things like that, and things I haven't learned, or things I think I know and I don't know.
Right. It's all trial and error and learning and experience too. Some of those guys, I mean, I guess if you're like hiking the Appalachian Trail, some of these people literally will like try to make their bag weigh, like they'll try to shave off 3 more pounds. So they'll have like, a piece of toilet paper to sleep on versus like an inflatable air mattress because it packs up to like this big instead of this big. I'm like, to me, I'd rather carry 120 pounds versus 100 pounds and have a warmer sweater and an extra pair of pants. And
yeah. Well, the thing you slept in, the bivvy you slept in when you guys did the stealth camp, all 3 years?
Yeah, I've slept in it a few nights now, so the videos aren't sequenced, but yeah, that was all recent. But
that did that's small, but it looks like it's comfortable.
Yeah, small, very lightweight. Can fit it in any book bag or just carry it in like carabiner to something. But super practical for lightweight, this, that, blah, 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 but also takes 5 seconds to set up. I could literally set it up like anywhere. I could set it up in the bed of my truck if I really wanted to. I have my big bougie tent too, and I love it. I slept in it last weekend.
Nice.
But it's I'm definitely, like I said before, I would definitely be the guy. I would rather have 20 extra pounds of gear, but know that I'm comfortable,
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. That's the way I'm gonna go. And like I said, if when the time gets closer, I'll definitely pick your brain and see if I can get any tips. Maybe I'll do a stealth camp one day. I don't know where.
You should. Yankee Stadium,
You couldn't pay me to sleep in the Bronx outside.
No? Is it that bad? Is it like hood, or what is it, like dirty?
Hood.
Like bad?
Yeah.
Huh. Why would they build it?
It's been there since the 20s. I mean, in the 20s, it was the suburbs. I mean, it was different. Neighborhood changed.
Is it not like it's not like there's like infrastructure and bars and restaurants and entertainment stuff
game days?
It?
Yeah, when the games are going on, it's fine. There's police presence and everything. But
like on a random Tuesday night, it's not.
You wouldn't want to go walking through the Bronx at night. No.
Really? There's no like, huh? Okay.
Not the place you'd want. Yeah. We used to, when we were kids, we've had our cars broken into. My dad had his car broken into one time of the game. Yeah, it's not. I mean, New York City in general is not the best anymore either.
Even like but I'm always thinking Times Square and this and that, the tourist stuff. And
yeah, but for a while it was pretty bad. And not to get like into it's just when you take the cops don't have the same power that they used to have.
Resources, yeah,
resources.
There's less cops too on top of it,
Less cops. Yeah. They're not. People get locked up. They get put back out again. For misdemeanors. So locking people up is not. It's a waste of time because they get back out on the street.
Right.
Soon, but
within a week, yeah, sometimes.
Yeah, you just gotta. Some places cities right, but you still got to keep your wits about you. If I did a stealth camp, I definitely do it here. There's great preserves and stuff here on the island that I would do it at. The one place I'd want to do it, and I want to do it in the winter because if I have to sleep on the floor, I don't want bugs. There's a
You'd rather be freezing your ass off than deal with a couple mosquitoes.
Well, I would I would make sure I'm warm, and maybe if I can get a fire going, I get a little fire going. So but not where I can be detected. But there's this mill pond is by my house, and I grew up like riding my bike through it. And I know homeless do sleep there. So I wouldn't be the only one sleeping there at night.
Right.
But that's where I kind of would want to do it. And it's funny now that I watch all you guys stuff. Sometimes I'm like driving around, like, ooh, self camp there. Like there's a Wendy's I go to sometimes on the way home from work if I'm gonna get like a quick dinner. Where if I eat there, there's like there's the hedges, but there's a thing where it's like you can go into, and people definitely hang out there. I'm like, well, that'd be a fun place to.
For sure.
Yeah. I'm like, you should camp there. Like Steve Wallace, come to Long Island. This is where you got to camp, like behind the Wendy's in Bethpage, Long Island.
I have a list in my phone, and I'm constantly emailing myself ideas as I'm driving, and I'll see the Wendy's bushes. I actually just found a set of bushes like that at a Kohl's.
Yeah.
I was going to do an Amazon return, and I'm like, it's like like kind of how you described, you have to see it, but it's like perfect. But I probably have like 200 or 300 ideas, and every week, or right now I'm like really far ahead. I have a bunch of videos shot and blah, 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 but I'm still trying to film actively to keep that going. And it's hard to decide where to, because I just have so many ideas, plus all the fails I want to redo, and a lot of like really just good, really good places, like within 10 minutes in any direction, you know?
Well, I can't wait to see them. And I just want to thank you, Sam, for joining us. I kept you longer than normal, but we were having such a good time chatting it up.
I'll talk all night long. You want to go for 5 hours? Let's go.
One night we will. We'll do
for sure.
I'll come to Ohio and we'll camp at a very bougie place, and we can have an all-night fireside podcast.
The Jacobs Field, yeah, or Progressive Field. We'll go. We'll camp in the stadium together.
We'll go in. We'll have a nice camp. We'll have sausage and peppers.
Sausage and peppers.
But I want to thank you for joining me. Again, Northwest Wind, YouTube, Instagram. New video out every Thursday, 6 p.m. You said?
Thursday at 6. And if there's not a video, even if I can't make one, mental health, whatever, if there's a week without a video, something's seriously wrong. I promise you that.
So if there is no video, we'll mass congregation to Cleveland to find out where Sam is getting lost in the sausage and peppers. That's where
literally the fields.
But seriously, man, I really appreciate you coming on and hanging out with me for this chat. I usually, like I said, don't normally go this long on the podcast, but we're having such a good conversation. And I got to make sure I can upload it in time. So that's why.
Yeah, all good. No, thanks for having me. Thanks for everyone that watched. I hope you enjoy it. I don't really know what the conversation was about. We just kind of talked about everything, but a lot of fun.
That's what I said. We talk about everything. We talk a little bit of everything. And what I like is just people getting to know other people, and people can see now why, just from having a conversation, why I like watching your videos. You're a real dude and entertaining and like, getting talked to these last couple weeks, like some of the same stuff I do, especially the Sopranos and things like that. We're big sports guys and just different teams. But I hope that this brings more eyes to your channel.
Same to yours, please. Yeah.
I do think that, you got a good product out there and people need to watch it.
Thank you. I appreciate it big time. It means a lot. It really does.
Oh, of course. Anytime I can say nice things, I try to do it.
I just want to leave one last piece of advice for all of you. A pint of blood is worth more than a gallon of gold. That's all I'm going to say. It's the last thing I'm going to say.
I'm not going to say who said it. Look it up. It's a great quote. Thank you so much, guys. We'll talk to you later.
Thank you all so much. Thanks.
I want to thank everybody for joining me here for episode 272. I want to thank Sam from the Northwest Wind for joining me here for the episode. Great conversation. Such a good dude. Go check him out, Northwest Wind on YouTube. New video out every Thursday night, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are played in and out each week by DemonScar and their single We Rise. Find them on iTunes. DemonScar.bandcamp.com. The show is brought to you by Buddha Bars. Buddha Bars, 100 calories, 2 grams of fat, real ice cream. Find out where they are in your area, zenfoodbrands.com, Buddha Bars _ice cream on Instagram. Long Island, only one place to go for your deli needs. That's Finn's Deli, 4646 Merrick Road in Massapequa. Tell my brother Mike you heard the plug on the show, and then get yourself an Uncle Cheese. the best sandwich out there. Not because it's named after me, because it really is that good. Go check it out. Once again, thank you so much to everybody who joined us on Instagram, who joined us on their podcast listening devices and YouTube. Have an awesome week. I'll talk to you later.
Blurred lines when you're forced. Apologize. No offense. No replies. No one